Hello, welcome to episode 73 of the MTG Conflux cast. My name is John, and I'm joined this week by my co-host, Chris.
Hey.
We're back from our holiday vacation, and we're here with our second, technically, video ever. But this time, we're going to keep up with it. We're going to be posting video versions of the podcast every episode. So if you're listening on podcast format right now and you want to watch the video, head on over to YouTube. This is available live. Not quite live in the past. Anyways, this week we're going to be
live recording.
Yes, live recording. Better than no video, right? But we're back from our break, and we're going to be continuing this every other week like normal. Same format we've been doing for a while now, so look forward to that. But this week, we're going to be talking about the current state of Modern and Pioneer, what's been going on while we've been away on our holiday break. And we're also going to be looking at some spicy Theros Beyond Death spoilers, which strangely is not abbreviated as TBD. It's THB, I found out, which ruined all of my cleverly planned jokes. But
sad.
Speaking of TBD, Chris, let's talk about what you've been up to these more than 2 weeks that we've been gone.
Well, I was on vacation for 2 of those weeks. Went to the East Coast, saw my family over there. Did not play a single thing of Magic at all ever.
I'm convinced now that if you just go to the East Coast, you never play Magic again. I've got a sample size of 2.
2 out of 2 would not play ever again on the East Coast. I thought about bringing cards over there. And I was just like, nah, there's no way I'm gonna have time for any of that shit. So
yeah, no, not happening.
Did not happen. So I was only able to play any Magic at all for last Friday at Great Escape. And so, after not playing Magic for quite a while, being rather rusty, I just had to bring back a pretty easy deck, to get back in the swing of things. So I brought Amulet Titan.
Oh yes. I've never not once heard you complain about having issues getting back into the swing of that deck.
As you do. And it wouldn't be an F&M playing Amulet if I didn't get paired against goddamn Mike on the fucking mirror match and losing.
Yeah?
Again.
How'd that go? How'd you lose, Chris?
Oh, I have perfect explanations. Well, you see, game 1, I somehow won the die roll, which was a surprise to be sure.
Wow.
But a welcome one.
But you didn't win.
The problem was my Titan cost 9 mana, his cost 6.
Huh.
So his came into play half a turn earlier than mine did. So I did the big die.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he may have had the tools to break serve because if I had played it on my turn anyway, because he had an Oko, which could have elked my Titan and blah, 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 blah. But anyway. Game 2, I mulliganed to 5. And I played a Titan on turn 3 and 1. And then game 3.
Just riveting mirror matches.
What happened in game 3? Oh, he kind of just had everything. He ghost quartered. So I played a breeding pool on turn 2, and he just ghost quartered it. Like turn 1 snake pass. I'm like, okay, Amulet go. He's like untap land pass, breeding pool, untap trigger from the Amulet. He's like, activate my scout, ghost quarter that. I'm like, wow, that's a very aggressive ghost quarter. He thought it was a civic growth chamber, so yeah, hashtag didn't matter, still had all these. So his draw consisted of a turn 1 scout, a ghost quarter, an amulet, I believe an Azusa, bounce lands, Titan, and pact negation. None of this was stirred or once upon a time or transmuted or nothing. It wasn't even a green pact, it was just a Titan. Meanwhile, I had not quite all of those things, so being on the draw and having a slightly worse hand than your opponent in the mirror means you lose.
We're going to have to start a spin-off podcast about just you playing Amulet mirror matches. We're going to call it Sowing Salt. Sowing Salt podcast. 3 in a red.
Yeah, well, I technically beat everything else I played throughout the night, and proving once again Amulet best deck can only lose to itself, just like Jeskai Dragons.
Yeah. That's definitely how that one works.
What the hell did I play against? I played against Jund.
It's a rare beast.
No, okay, sorry. My round 2, my opponent, when he died in game 1, what he had in play was a Ghostly Prison, a Sacred Foundry, and 3 Reflecting Pools.
What? Reflecting?
Yeah. So I was like, okay, this is like some red-white, prison deck, right? Like the old Sun and Moon style decks. But like Reflecting Pool is kind of weird because it's like, don't you have more red-white dual lands you could play? I don't know. But that's what I was thinking. Ghostly Prison. And so in this scenario, I don't. What would you think your opponent would name if they started off the game with a turn 1 Cavern of Souls?
Human?
After seeing like what I saw game 1.
Oh. Fuck, I don't know, man.
For those of you playing along at home, if you guessed Sliver, you win.
I see.
Yeah, obviously. So he plays Cavern named Sliver. I'm sitting there looking at this fucking negate in my hand. Like, I mean, I think I've misread the situation.
I guess, yeah, Reflecting Pool. Yeah, I see it.
I technically did use my negate, though.
Yeah, what did you negate? A collected company?
A Chalice of the Void.
Excellent.
X was going to be 3. Oh, X was 3.
What the fuck?
His thinking was it would counter Oko, which was the only thing that I could have done to get rid of his Sliver Hive Lord, making all of his slivers indestructible. Because I had the Academy Ruins EE loop going on, and he's like, LOL, Sliver Hive Lord, they're indestructible. I'm like, huh. Well, I guess we're never drawing that EE again.
Yeah. Send that one straight to the fucking Shadow Realm. Holy shit. That's funny. So did you won, obviously.
Yeah, so he's like playing like a Sliver like prison deck. So apparently there's a Sliver that gives all your Slivers the opposition clause.
Yeah. That's sick.
New to me. And then there's also like, I think it's called Dormant Sliver. It's blue-green 2. It's like a 2/4. All your Slivers have Defender, and when they come into play, draw a card.
She's supposed to like sack it to another Sliver or something. Like, or
he has one Necrotic Sliver.
There's like a Frenetic Ifrit Sliver as well. You could like kill him with, I think.
And there's another Sliver that says like tap it, deal 2 damage to the creature or player, and deal 3 damage to itself. So you just like sit there and amass like 10 Slivers and then just nuke your opponent.
Nuclear launch detected.
And I guess if your Slivers are indestructible with Hive Lord, you can just keep doing it.
What the fuck? Oh, because
they're destructible.
Wow, it doesn't sack them. It just deals.
It just deals damage to themselves.
Wow. I guess the original idea was like you just have a big swole ass Sliver and it just would punch itself and not die.
Or even if it does die, if you have enough of them, who cares?
Yeah, that's
Why
amazing.
attack when you can?
And Slivers are sick. No one plays that deck.
Yeah, so this is like very different than the traditional Slivers list.
Yeah, like the beat down Slivers deck.
Yeah, like beat down Slivers. But yeah, game 2, he didn't have as many Slivers as I had zombies.
I had to take a moment there to pour myself a new beer while I listened to this story. Sorry.
Yeah, so it turns out Azusa +2 Field of the Dead and a bounce land goes wider than the old Prison Sliver deck. And he did not have a Ghostly Prison this time. Not that it would have mattered, thanks to my EE loop, which was made irrelevant by his, indestructible Sliver. But yeah, Sliver Prison.
That's amazing. I just don't even know what to say.
Kind of sweet, really. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really sweet.
So game 1 he lost because he just didn't have any of the right colors of mana because all he had was red white lands.
Shocker. Yeah,
And I don't think I saw any red white slivers in his deck.
Like,
two,
if I saw like red white, the reflecting pool, I guess, is a giveaway, but like red white crap, I'd expect like some sort of ancient
and a ghostly prison. Like I wouldn't have thought a ghostly prison would be in a sliver deck.
I would expect like some ancient ass like Kithkin deck or something. I don't even know. Like, I think was ghostly prison in that same block. Sometimes people like
it was bring Kamigawa.
Oh, it's sometimes people like show up with these like, you know, decks. They like blow the dust off the box from a closet somewhere and show up at F&M with some.
Yeah, it's like an extended deck from 10 years, like probably more than 10 years ago.
But yeah, I definitely played it when someone was playing like Cloud Thresher one time or something. I was like,
wow,
what the fuck is going on here? Yeah. Huh. But that's sweet. So you beat Slivers.
Yeah, beat Slivers. Then I'm thinking it's Jund. And he just couldn't quite do Jund things well enough. Game 1, he tried his best, but my last card in hand was basically a Titan, and off the top, here's land number 6. Here's a Titan. Game's over now. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Game 2 was very much the similar way. He had like Liliana. There was like he plussed it, but I had 2 cards in hand, one of which was a Titan. So goodbye excess land, untap play a Titan. Goodbye, all hopes of winning opponent.
Straight to the Shadow Realm, right?
Yeah, it's weird because like he kept playing the same land off of Renin 6. Like he was drawing non-land cards, but he just couldn't. I don't know. I guess they just weren't relevant enough. I think he had like a couple of glyphs or something, and maybe he got EE away or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
sad times for him.
Amulet is definitely a scary deck these days.
Oh, actually, no. I think he spent all of his cards trying to get rid of my Oko.
Sounds about right for a
which
fair
he
deck.
did. Oko finally went away, and then I just untapped and played a Primeval Titan.
I guess Jund can play Dreadbore if they're like really concerned about Oko these days, which they probably should be.
Yeah.
Going from instant to sorcery speed, definitely smarts, but
yeah. I had Explosive sitting on 2 one game, and he Bloodbraided into his second Tarmogoyf.
Nice. Could you imagine Bloodbraiding into an Oko?
Oh. You can turn into an elk, and it doesn't have haste anymore.
Just attack in and then give it an extra point of toughness on the back end. I ain't afraid of no shock. Wild / ain't got nothing on me.
Strong. Maybe they have like a protection from red creature, and you're just like, not next time. Next time.
Got him.
Yeah. And then last round, I guess technically we drew because the opponent offered. I was like, okay, fine. But it was burn, and he did the big die. He didn't draw enough searing effects, I guess. He tried 1 Gobble Guide, but Scout stuck around for too long.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think I just naturally found my Radiant Fountain. So it was pretty gross. I also had Oko game 1 against him.
I like how this story keeps getting worse and worse for the burn player. You're like, oh yeah, no searing effects. I was like, oh, okay, that sounds reasonable. Oh yeah, Scout stuck around. I was like, yeah, that's pretty bad. And you're like, oh yeah, then I just had the best land on my deck. Oh, okay, I definitely understand how you win now. And you're like, also, I had fucking Oko. Like, what a fucking shit you won. Holy crap. Like, okay, dude.
Yeah. So in game 2, I have a Terminate Amulet, turn 2 Azusa, replay Bounce Land, Stirrings finds Radiant Fountain, play Radiant Fountain, pass. So I pass back to him on my turn 2 with, I guess, land, Radiant Fountain, Amulet, Azusa, and at 20 life after taking a hit from a Goblin Guide. So he attacks me again. I think it reveals something like a Summoner's Pact or something. Or Primeval Titan, I think it was. And then he, like, post-combat skew the critics my face, not my Azusa. And then suspended a Rift Bolt. I was like, okay, definitely should have killed the Azusa. So I just untap, play a Titan, and, you know,
do the thing. Yeah.
And so he, like, scoops and he's like, oh, I don't think I can beat that. And as he's, like, putting his cards away, I was like, well, actually, maybe I could have. Like, maybe I could have. I had Deflecting Palm and Path. I'm like, no. I still don't think you win that game.
Deflecting Palm.
Because I had a pact in my hand too, so I already have another Titan. You already took 8 damage.
How does Palm work with Double Strike? Does it just reflect the first?
Just the first strike.
Yeah, okay.
And the regular strike just slaps them.
So he'd take like 8, not 16, and you would take 8.
Yeah. But I meant, like, with the attack on the Titan, I would go back to, like, 13. No, sorry. 17, maybe 19, depending on how I decide to replay the bounce lands and whatever.
Gotcha. So you weren't just gonna, like, get burned out the next turn or something if you didn't have a pact?
No, absolutely not.
That's rough. Yeah, Deflecting Palm is probably not enough.
I don't know.
Probably just like kind of. Well, I guess if they've kind of gotten you low, they could kill you with the first strike damage. 2 mana, deal 8
like
is like pretty.
A lot of other
decent.
Titan players feel like Deflecting Palm's the only way they lose to burn.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. At first, I thought it was kind of shitty, but actually thinking it through a little bit more, I mean, it is like way overrate for burn, and if they let you do the thing, you're probably gonna hit them. I guess the real risk though is that like if they let you like do the thing, then you could like get a pact or something with Teleria West.
But I mean, they can't really stop you from doing the thing.
Yeah, and they don't really want to either. Like Deflecting Palm is more like a card that's like, oh, they did the thing, maybe I don't lose. Because they're not gonna like not burn you out and just like hold their like Deflecting Palm the whole time, right? Like they're just gonna end of turn burn you anyways, and you're gonna die or you're not gonna die. Like they're not gonna just sit there and like like, yeah, I'm gonna get this guy at this deflecting. I mean, some people might, but it's probably not like the best strategy. Yeah, it seems fine, I guess.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like some people say like they leave Pact of Negation in their deck specifically for Deflecting Palm. I didn't even bother boarding it in this time. I don't know. I just didn't respect it at all.
There's no Bailovs in the board anymore, right?
I have one on my board right now, yeah.
One. Because the meta is just like not like in that direction, really, right? Like you're not playing against like discard gen decks very much.
Well, at Great Escape, there's way more people playing Liliana in the Veil than like otherwise.
I never run into
which
him,
is why I'm playing a Bailoff at all.
I like never run into people playing Veil, which I wish I would, because man, 4C Snow fucking slaps that card. Like, oh, you want to take cards out of your hands? By all means, excellent. I'm gonna just 2-for-1 a whole bunch and then kill your Liliana before it ults.
Yeah. But yeah, there's like a couple Jund players and even some of the Shadow players are playing Lilianas now, so
I'm more than happy if the Shadow players are like going up the curve.
And there were like a ton. So before I went on vacation, there were like a ton of Burn players.
Yeah, there have been a lot of Burn players. I've been rejiggering things for there's been a ton of Burn just like online too for a while now.
Yeah, so I'd been like kind of trimming out on Burn like hate. And I was like, maybe we should respect a little bit more.
Yeah. Let's put some Weather the Storms in your sideboard, dude.
I don't think that's a good card in my deck.
Not at all. It would be sweet though if you got to like go like, like Amulet Scout Weather the Storm gain 9 or some shit.
Or like with Explore builds. Just like explore. Weather.
Yeah.
Gain 12.
Yeah.
Anyway, what What have you been up to, John?
Well,
Magic-wise,
I've been still locked
not.
into my extremely monogamous relationship with 4C Snow. I haven't really played much of anything else. I'm still very much enjoying the deck. Been kind of like tweaking it week to week, like a few sideboard cards, one or two main deck cards for the local meta. Whoever shows up, I'm like, looks like there's a lot of burn players tonight or a lot of Tron, so sub one or two things out. I kind of like having a deck that you can kind of tweak like that. It's fun. But yeah, I've just been playing a lot of that. Deck is like a 3-1 machine, I guess. I always get got by like something. I got by burn the week before last. This past week, I lost to old school Grixis Wurza, but they had a splash for sideboard Oko. And like, I don't know, you know how much that deck just grinds value, and it's a lot of it's coming out of the graveyard, recurring. My deck's pretty dense on the card advantage, but it's really hard to beat stuff that ETBs with 2-for-1 attached to it. Stuff like the Goblin. It's not Welder. It's the new Welder. The fixed
Engineer.
Yeah, the fixed Welder. Engineer. Urza himself. Still, a lot of the cards, the deck doesn't play a ton of counter magic, so most of the time your opponent's stuff is resolving. Because all the Grixis Urza stuff, like, Urza you would counter, Whir you would counter, but other than that, like, you're not countering a Goblin Engineer. Like, you just don't have enough counter magic in the deck to do that. So they just kind of they sneak ahead on these onboard 2-for-1s. And they can start doing loops with stuff like Ichor Wellspring, and the game just kind of like slowly slides out of your grasp. It's it's winnable, but they're just operating on a different axis than the 4C Snow deck is really kind of set up. And so I was really happy when Urza kind of like veered away from that into like Simic territory, because everyone's obsessed with Oko, and it's like, wow, that matchup is way better, because like they're trying to play counter magic now, like Cryptic Command, which is kind of clunky, and Oko, and just like the permanents aren't I don't know. They're kind of centered around fewer, more impactful permanents, but 4-color Snow is a little bit better at kind of dealing with those and interacting with those on a 1-by-1 basis, whereas the Grixis kind of slow grind with a combo package crammed into it is just way more awkward to deal with. So ran into that. In addition of Oko in the board, obviously, was no bueno, because they're already so threat dense on things you have to deal with. So adding another must answer threat that plays to the board really well isn't great. So lost that 1-0-2, and then I lost Burn 1-2 the week before. I had a really weird game where I got stuck with like no black mana, and I had 2 Drawn on the Walks in hand, and I lost. I feel like every time I lose to Burn, I have it's because of like mana problems, and I don't really normally have mana problems with the deck, at least very rarely, but I always seem to have them against Burn. I'm not sure if it's like the hands I'm keeping or just happenstance or what, but it's like definitely been a like consistent trend when playing against Burn. I always feel like I'm off a color.
Do you think that you're just fetching a lot more conservatively because you're concerned about your life total?
I never
and therefore you're missing colors?
I never get shocks against anyone unless I have to. Like, the only decks I'm really aggressive on getting shocks with are Tron game 1 before the Blood Moons come in. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, I guess I'm less likely to get the first shock against Burn, because like you need Icefang Codal online as soon as possible. So like against other decks, you can go like basic, shock, basic, whereas against Burn, you kind of just like want to try to go basic, but then you only have 3 colors of 3 basics if you don't have an Astrolabe. And then like Astrolabe is just dog shit terrible against Eidolon if they resolve that. That's been another issue with the matchup, is just that like all of your cheap cantrips are just god awful against Eidolon of the Great Revel. We're like just shy of a 50-50 matchup over like, it's one of our, I think it's our most common matchup because there's so much of it online. I got the stats right here. It's like we're 11-13 against it right now. So I mean, that's like almost even. We were even like a week or 2 ago. So I don't know. It's not bad. Pretty happy considering that was like the boogeyman matchup when we were playing the deck before Oko. It was like, oh, like Burn is like really, really hard. One of our bad matchups. And now I've got it like in a place where it's a 50-50. I can't really complain too much, really. But yeah, I'm still on the deck. I think it's really sweet. But I am looking to get back into Legacy. I haven't actually played it since GP Oakland like last January. Been out of the format the whole time, basically.
Same.
Yeah, like the whole time Run-In 6 has been in the format, which is crazy because I had the whole Rug Delver deck. I had all the cards. But I always kind of like, after Grixis Delver wasn't a thing, I was playing Blue-Red Delver. I used to play Rug Delver, and then I played Grixis Delver when that was good. And then after Grixis Delver took the Banhammer, I was on Blue-Red. And I played Blue-Red before that, sometimes just for fun at like local tournaments. But Blue-Red is like good again with Brazen Borrower being added to the mix. And I mean, I knew it was good before too with Dreadhorde Arcanist, but it got kind of overshadowed by Oko and all that. So it never really had like a chance to like kind of like, you know, do its thing. So now that Run-In 6 is gone and Oko is kind of on the downturn a little bit at least, it looks like Blue-Red's in a good spot in the format. The format looks fun too. So I think I'm gonna get back in and start playing Blue-Red. I had to pick up some Brazen Borrowers. I bought some last night, which was kind of a gross pill to swallow.
Like $30 right now.
Like 25, yeah. So picked up a pair of those, and I finally got some Veil of Summers because apparently the Banhammer isn't coming anytime soon for Modern. So pick some of those up just to have on hand. But yeah, Blue-Red Delver is looking really sweet. So it's kind of where I'm looking moving forward. But speaking of Veil and Oko, kind of touched on those. There was a SCG Modern Team Open this past weekend, and there was a lot of Oko and a lot of Veil. I've got the stats right here. Of the day 2 deck lists, 40 of the 60 lists had at least one copy of Oko, 17 of them had one of Urza, 13 had one of Primeval Titan, 44 of the 60 had at least one copy of Veil, and 22 of the 60 had at least a copy of Once Upon a Time. That's crazy. And to shed a little bit more light on that, I can go over the some of the archetypes. Though the most common archetype was a 10% representation for Sultai Urza. And then at 9% we had Simic Urza, Bug Titan, and Simic Titan. So 19 and 18% between Titan and Urza. There's actually a 7% were on Rug Urza. So I guess the Urza decks have kind of spread out. So we got about 20% of the player base on an Urza deck. And then we had I don't know if you want to lump in Amulet Titan with these new non-Amulet Titan decks. If you did, though, you had 20. Is that? It's actually like 23% on Amulet or on Titan decks. So Titan and Urza very much so the about half the format just between them. I mean, this is a day 2 metagame of a team event, which is people are conservative on their deck choices usually and kind of an inbred meta, but I mean, 2 decks shaping up, half of the day 2 metagame is pretty impressive, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've seen too many. Well, that's assuming we could all just lump together all the decks as being the same.
Yeah, there's 2% Banters and 2% 4-color Wurza as well. There's a ton, and then we've got 2% Titan Shift, 7% Mono Green Tron, 3% Eldrazi Tron. It's basically just Urza and Big Mana is the only thing that really managed to survive here in any real numbers. It's just kind of crazy, really, looking at these stats. Just really. I'll swap over for the people on the podcast or the YouTube to see the stats. I'll pull them up here. These numbers are just, I don't know, they're kind of absurd. And that explains the the numbers we were just talking about of how prevalent Oko, Urza, Primetime, and Veil of Summer were. Most of these decks are green decks, so Veil of Summer is kind of a no-brainer somewhere in the 75 since it's such a powerful card. Looking at this day 2 metagame, do you feel like this is kind of indicative of where the format's at as a whole? Or do you think this is kind of an outlier?
Well, I think Urza's been like arguably the best and most popular deck for quite a while now. So I don't really think there's anything surprising about that.
That's fair.
But and then all these Titan decks, I don't think that you can say that Amulet Titan and these no Amulet decks are the same.
That's true. I mean, they do. Have
I feel like these non-Amulet lists they feel a lot more like I feel like they're a lot more like a Scapeshift deck without Scapeshift than an Amulet deck without amulets.
I can see that.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. The kind of the axis they're operating on is more akin to a Scapeshift deck, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's more like a ramp, play a Titan, get a bunch of... so typically, Valakut would just outright kill your opponent, but instead you're just getting, Field of the Dead and making tons of zombies. So you're killing them through combat instead of with, direct damage. But by doing so, you get to play with Oko instead of not. So you have, this plan B of, the absurdity that is Oko when your, ramp plan is maybe not the best. What I think is very strange is these no-amulet lists, they look very, very similar to that of the Pioneer Field of the Dead decks.
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah. I'd forgotten that, but when I looked at them originally, I did have that thought.
It's basically what the Pioneer decks wish they could, if the Pioneer decks had access to Primeval Titan, this is basically what the deck would be. Right?
Yeah.
4 Grazers, Rejuvenators, some other ramp creature thing. Some people are playing Scout, some playing Elder. Pick your favorite snake, I guess. And then Okos. And Explorers instead of Growth Spirals. And Once Upon a Time, which is the same. And then 30 fucking lands. It's basically the same deck.
Yeah, no, you're totally...
Except Primeval Titan is way better than Hour of Promise.
Yeah, a lot better. You get a lot more for that 1 mana. You get a lot more for that 1 mana.
Yeah.
You get access...
But I mean, so I kind of think that it's not that Primeval Titan is this, amazing modern card. I mean, it's a very good card.
It's Once Upon a Time.
I think it's Field of the Dead, right?
Field of the Dead, yeah. Those 2 cards are just... Yeah.
If Field of the Dead didn't exist, this, Sultai Titan or Bant Titan or whatever, blue-green Titan decks, they wouldn't exist.
Yeah, there's no reason to be doing this without Field. There's no payoff.
Yeah, so Amulet Titan, the card slots into that deck very easily, and it's very good and powerful. But the Sultai deck, Titan deck, or the blue-green Titan deck, it's a Field of the Dead deck.
Yeah. It's it's Volakut, but it's not Volakut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I think Once Upon a Time really just turbocharges these strategies as well, right? Ensuring that you're able to find both your ramp creature and your early mana just every single game together with London Mulligan. You are never not doing the thing on turn 1, right? You're gonna hit the ground running.
In a deck like the
every time.
The blue-green Titan deck, even late in the game, if it finds a Sakura Tribe Elder, that's still probably a zombie or 2.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe it's 4 mana, make 2 zombies, which is not bad.
Not at all.
Not the worst thing you could be doing.
Not when you're doing that consistently every turn, yeah.
And it's if every card you draw, if the worst card you can be drawing is 2, 1, 2, maybe even 3 2/2 zombies, that's not bad. Right? So Valakut has the same sort of thing. It's every draw in their deck is a lightning bolt.
Yeah, you can't thought seize the top of your opponent's deck, right? Yeah.
And so I guess the question is is what's better, a lightning bolt or a zombie? And I think it depends on your opponent's life total.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And zombies block.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they do. Especially in a format where Oko is everywhere. Having 2/2s aren't as good as 3/3s, but having bodies on the board is good. And Field of the Dead zombies tend to come in pairs, so.
Yeah, what I think is hilarious though is the first place deck, with the first place team, that deck, he's playing a Crater Hoof Behemoth.
Yeah.
Seems pretty good when you got a bunch of zombies.
I had it on over the weekend in the background while I was like cooking. I think yesterday on Sunday, and I kept hearing him talking about Craterhoof, and so I was like, "What the fuck?" So I had to I was in the kitchen making like a soup that took my. Anyways, I was like spending a long portion of the morning cooking and prepping a soup, and so I wander over to see why the fuck they're talking about Craterhoof Behemoth, and I was like, "Oh, it's like this new Titan deck," and just like a fucking shitload of zombies, and the guy had like a Craterhoof Behemoth, and it's like, that seems pretty good.
Yeah, and a Boreal Grazer doesn't have Defender.
Yeah, so you can get in there with your
Reachy boy,
reaching for their life total now.
Like Rejuvenator, it attacks. You'd even like elk something, and then
Yeah, Craterhoof Math just gets absurd.
It gets really big or really fast.
Really fast. Like 3-4 creatures is already like lethal usually, right? Like,
yeah. Because you think about it, if there's 4 creatures in play, then it's 16 damage from just the pump.
Yeah.
And it's a 5/5.
Yeah.
So you could have 3 Arboreal Grazers and play a Craterhoof, and it's more than lethal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it all tramples. All of it.
Yeah, Craterhoof is absurd. You know very well, Mr. Elvis player.
Yeah, and I think the meta is getting a little bit inbred in the sense, like, the sideboarding Ashiok. Like, why... Ashiok is really good against this kind of deck.
It's also good against combo, though, which this deck is pretty ass against from the look of things. Like, a lot of combo uses the graveyard. Ashiok kind of turns that off, at least. I don't know. I mean,
Ashiok's insane against the other like big mana.
It is mostly against big mana, yeah.
But like,
hell of a mirror breaker.
As far as what's being played and what's popular, combo decks aren't there.
There was a bit of Storm, like.
There's one team that played Gift Storm.
Yeah, I think people are going to play it more, though.
I don't think is enough.
It's not enough
to do anything against Storm.
I do think, though, that people are going to start picking up those combo decks if the meta stays like this, though, because like, what does this deck do against Storm except for do a Sonic the Hedgehog impression or roll over and die?
And so I think that's more of an Oko problem, right? So another thing about this blue-green Titan deck, aside from Field of the Dead being really, really insane, is Oko, right? You can just play Oko too. And Oko kind of just shits on, like, so typically these big mana decks get run over by, the aggro decks too, right?
Yeah.
They can like sneak underneath it. Well, Oko makes it a lot harder for them to do that.
Well,
so with Grazer and like
Oko,
Rejuvenator and just dumb idiots to block, plus an Oko, it's suddenly a lot harder to get in there with your stupid like Waldnikov deck, right?
Like, Oko is not good enough against aggro on its own, but yeah, when you start having a bunch of idiots clogging up the board that like, run defense for like the first few turns and then protect Oko on the way down, every turn after that, turning one of them into like a 3/3, it's like, what is it? Like the meme, like level 1 gangster, level 15 elk, like every turn, like one of them gets like knighted by Oko and goes from being like a wimpy little useless wall into like a 3/3, which most aggro decks like are lucky to trade with.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So yeah, it's not just the Oko, it's the Oko plus the Grazers and Rejuvenators that really
the shitters.
Yeah, it has a lot of shitters. Like, the deck's got 14, or well, not Titans. It's got 10 shitters, which is a decent number. That just get hella swole when Oko hits the field, which is real good. Yeah. And
if you're okay with your shitters just like chomping or whatever, you can just gain life off of food,
Yeah, because
or just shrink their big boy to 3/3.
I played a lot of Oko and Pioneer, and it was not actually that hot against aggro if you didn't have bodies already hanging around to start pumping up right away. Because otherwise, the Oko just gets cleared like pretty quick. You get a food out of it, or maybe a 3/3, but it's just. But yeah, once you put Oko together with the cheap bodies, though, aggro just rolls over and dies in a hurry. And his loyalty is so high that like, they can't even burn it. So no one's even really playing stuff like that anymore.
Yeah, like the burn decks get most of their damage in through with their creatures.
Yeah.
And a Burrow Grazer just laughs in the face of Goblin.
Yeah, exactly.
like,
oh, okay. I get a land? Thanks. What a pal. What a pal. Yeah. So, but yeah, so they get this Sultai Titan deck, just running around everywhere, and also the Urza decks, which are quite popular.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty clear that Oko is kind of skewing modern.
Yeah, as much as it pains me to say it. Although I have one last defense of Oko, although I do think it is probably just too homogenizing. And that is that all these Oko decks play Veil of Summer, which means that trying to actually deal with the Oko, which is already problematic, is like impossible. Like I was talking earlier, I was like, oh well, Jund can play Dreadbore. That's like a pretty clean answer to a Planeswalker that like they're already like not too sad to be playing. Like they've played Terminate a lot in the past, but when you start running Dreadbore into Veil of Summer, like that's like vomit in your mouth territory. Like you just can't do that. It's not feasible. So I mean that's why no one's really playing Jund anymore, because like Jund just gets fucking slapped by shit like that. So
yeah, as good as Ren 6 is,
yeah,
right?
I would
like Ren 6 is not really even played in any of these decks, right?
Yeah, it's not. It's no one's playing small little shitters anymore that have 1 toughness. Like all those decks are, they've gotten cleared out by Oko plus blockers. I think that what will happen is Oko and Veil will go at the same time. But what I would really like to see as someone with a vested interest in playing Oko in my Fringe Suite deck, I would like to see a format with Oko without Veil of Summer for a while. But I don't know if WotC, if they are pushed to act, will think it's worth waiting, because there are a lot of people that want Oko banned at this point. The voices are getting louder and more insistent. So I don't know if they really want to.
At the same time, Urza has been like the boogeyman before Oko was around.
Yeah, that was my other worry, was that like,
and if Oko goes away,
it's still going to be Urza.
Urza's still there.
Yeah, and then you just go back to playing Grixis. The guy I played, on Friday night that was playing Grixis, he said, yeah, I think Oko's going to get banned. I think Grixis is, where the format's going to be. And he's like, I already got a good list ready for winning the mirror when it goes back to being Grixis. And I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But he already had Oko, so I guess he just didn't want to pick up the other stuff to play Simic in the meanwhile. I don't know. Probably just didn't have all the cards handy. Otherwise, why not? But yeah, Urza's fucking scary. Like the deck was paddling people well before Oko hit the scene. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I just don't know if they really want to, if they're going to want to spend that, the political goodwill, the political capital with the player base of banning Veil and not banning Oko, and then letting Oko ride for another few months, and then maybe it's fine, maybe it's not. But if it's not, they're gonna have another Bridge from Below situation on their hands where they I mean I don't think it's the same as Bridge, because Bridge was like not that big of it wasn't really the real problem. It was obviously Hagak, but Veil of Summer is a problem. Like I don't think anyone would really argue against that at this point. The card is berserk. So I mean, even if they do just axe Veil and wait on Oko, it's not like they're not removing a card that probably shouldn't be in the format. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess everyone was bitching about Teferi Time Reveler, oh, we can't counter spells are unplayable because of Teferi, and LOL, how about Veil of Summer?
Yeah.
Fuck your Thoughtseizes too.
Yeah, I mean, and so I think the only way you can play, ironically enough, counter spells now is with Teferi, which is you thought he was the enemy, the devil, but he was actually the savior all along of control decks.
Yeah, because you can't Veil of Summer if I have a Teferi.
Yeah. Genius, man. Yeah, fucking the roll safe meme or whatever.
They hated him because he was the
can't Veil of Summer if they can't cast Veil of Summer. Yeah.
Can't protect at instant speed if they can't cast instants.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's I really hate Veil of Summer.
So I'm just gonna briefly talk about that sweet list I saw. Speaking of Teferi, it's basically the blue-green Titan deck splashing white
For Teferi.
For Teferi and Wargate.
Oh yeah. Oh, lay it on us. Lay it on us. This deck is sweet. Do you have a list handy?
Not super handy.
Oh man.
I could pull it.
It's an amulet deck?
No, it's very similar to these no amulet blue-green like ramp decks. With just like Field of the Dead is the win con.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so here it is. So it's playing this typical suspects.
Send me the links. I can put it up for the people on YouTube. Send it in Discord.
I just have a screenshot.
Oh, a
here.
screenshot, even better.
Oh, here's a link.
Boom. Thank you.
Yeah, so 29 lands, as you do. Typical suspects: 4 Grazer, 4 Pack, 4 Titan, 4 Once Upon a Time, 3 Okos. So looks like they trimmed the 30th land and an Explorer for 2 Teferis. And slapped 4 Wargates in there.
Trace Bien. I love it. Wargate is great, man. I'm so happy to see this card again.
Yeah. Forget stuff like Crater Hoof. Nah, we don't need that.
Oh.
Rejuvenator, trash. Who needs Rejuvenator? Why play 3 mana to get a land out of the top 5, but you can pay 3 mana to get any land that you want and put it into play.
It's half price, no body attached.
But see, there's upside. Later in the game, you can Wargate in an Oko or a Primeval Titan.
It's like Protoss, man, like from StarCraft. Like, carrier has arrived. Just start shitting out elk everywhere.
Yeah, and then so you can do stuff in the sideboard. So the sideboard, right? There's like 1 rest in peace. Well, you can Wargate that bad boy out.
This is like the terrible Bant Pokemon deck we built and talked about on stream like half a year ago now. We were playing Glittering Wish.
Although I'm sure this deck is a lot better than that.
Oh
one.
yeah, it's gotta be like significantly better.
But think about it. You can +1 your Teferi, and then you can just instant speed Wargate.
Holy crap.
It's just like, aha, he has no blockers. I will attack him. Ah, surprise Wargate. It's a land. Oh, it makes zombies. Ah.
Yeah. It's like instant speed Titan. Get some lands, make some zombies. Like, oh, just put
to blocks.
Put 10 power on the board at instant speed.
For only 9 mana.
Yeah. Tooth and nail, Wargate. Oh man.
And think about your opponent has a pesky ensnaring bridge. Well, for 6 mana, you go get a Teferi or an Oko and deal with that shit.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, could you imagine if you Wargate in a Grafdigger's Cage, does that fizzle something that targets something in the yard? It does, right?
Yeah.
So your opponent Snapcaster Mage's Cryptic Command? I don't know.
I target this Cryptic Command. Okay, target on the stack. Wargate.
I guess that wouldn't work with Teferi because you're not countering anything with Cryptic. But yeah, if they gotta snap back something and you just Wargate in a Grafdigger's Cage in response. That's hot.
Which is flash effect right of Past in Flames response Wargate.
Oh man, you could if someone cracked a fetch, you could can you Wargate an Ashiok to even mind censor them?
Yeah. Why not?
That's hot. That's super hot.
You just you arbiter them, but you cannot pay. Ashiok will not be bribed.
Yeah. Oh man, this is great. This is what memes are made of. Holy shit.
Or oh my god, man! So you're playing the Field of the Dead Mirror, so then you just flash in your Wargate for your EE on 0 and kill all their zombies.
What? That works. It works. Sunburst is 0. Wow.
Yeah, it's like EOT, like blow up your zombies, and then on still in your end step, sack my elder to make some zombies for me and attack you with them.
We need to do a league with this and make a video, Chris.
It'd be hot. I can't imagine how much do you think Wargate is online?
A penny.
Can't be that much, right?
A penny. Less than a penny. Because they do that on
Modo. You know how
Modo.
much Wargate is in paper?
I don't know. No one plays EDH on Modo.
It's like $5. It's like $5 to $7, depending.
Well, I give you a personal guarantee Wargate ain't worth shit online. I'm looking it up right now. Here, we'll see here. Yeah, it is an 18th of a cent.
Yeah, so we can definitely put this together.
Yeah. So we should do that.
It plays fucking Westvale Abbey.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and because you're white, you play Chimera Crossroads instead of Radiant Mountain.
It's just value. Strictly better. Man, this deck's sweet. We gotta plan this out. We gotta make a video. It's happening.
Oh, you can just like Wargate in Damping Sphere.
Yeah. I don't know why, but you could. Stony silence. Opponent like plays an equipment, and you're like, no.
Well, if they activate the equipment, it still does the thing.
No, when they
right?
play it though, they can play it,
Right.
and you get just a response. They never get to equip it, and they've already spent the mana. I don't know why they'd be a Stoneforge deck. So
we should definitely throw a Pithing Needle on this board, right?
oh, that's hot. Opponent plays Jace the Mind Sculptor. In response, Wargate in my Python Needle, naming Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Like, huh. I was like, oh, opponent's tagging for a mana. Then encrypted command me? Nope.
Something far sweeter is afoot. Yeah, this is like shenanigans all over it. I love it.
Yeah, so you talk about like, oh, you can like, Wargate in Rest in Peace. But what if you only have 3 mana? That's okay. You can just Wargate in Jukabog.
Get a zombie in the act.
Yeah, might be better.
Yeah. Nuke the yard, put a 2/2 into play. Yeah. Excellent. All right. Well, we got way bogged down on Bant Titan, but yeah. I mean,
Yeah, just thought I'd share.
yeah. I'm glad. We need to make this happen. That's saving that one for later. I'm gonna leave that open in a tab. I'm gonna do that. So I don't know. What do you think? Oko, Veil Summer. You think a band's coming? What do you? They changed their rules for BNR updates now. There is no schedule. Every band is
For
an
all
emergency.
BNR?
Yeah, I think every band is an emergency band now. They're not gonna do the scheduled BNR updates anymore. I believe they announced, which seems like a hell of a fucking cop out.
When is the next Modern GP?
Good question. I don't know. You can pull that up. Let's see here. MTG schedule.
I think it's soon-ish, right?
Probably. Wouldn't surprise me. Let's see here. It's we got a batch. We got 3 pine. Oh, it's the 10th this weekend, actually, in Austin. Better get my flight booked. No, I'm good. But yeah, so we've got that, and then just a crop of Pioneer stuff. We don't have another modern one till March. So
I don't know if I'm not sure that Oko and Veil will make it to March.
I can see that.
I don't think they're going to do anything until a little bit before the GPs, though. So maybe like, 2 weeks out. If they're going to do it, they'll do it.
Once they get the results from the GP, yeah. What if the band's Urza? Urza and Field of the Dead get banned. That'll be a doozy.
Then we'll see a lot of... Maybe it'll be your time to shine, John.
Oh man, Elk.
Random Oko piles. is the new meta.
Oh man, I'm ready. I've trained for this. I'm like that guy living up in the fucking hills. Everyone thought he was crazy until they needed him. Then he was exactly what they wanted. I have a very special set of skills. Skills that make me a nightmare for metagames like you.
And then you get bopped by some new stupid deck.
Yeah.
I hear
prison slippers. The matchups.
I don't know. You have Dead of Winter. I don't think it's unwinnable.
Yeah, Dead of Winter is pretty insane. Oh man.
I've been hearing not to jump too into the next segment already, but I hear murmurings of combo decks trying to utilize Underworld Reach.
Yeah, and people figured that out in Legacy in about 30 seconds. That one didn't take long, but Modern, yeah, people were cooking on that one. So we'll see.
So what I'm hearing is they're talking about Mox Opal Grinding Station.
Oh god, here we go again.
Because how many cards does Grinding Station mill? I think it's
3. I think, yeah.
How many do you need for Underworld Reach?
3.
3.
Hot.
So you just keep replaying your Mox Opal to generate mana. Mill. Until you find a Grape Shot. And then you just mill cards other than your Grape Shot. You just use non-Grape Shot cards to escape your Grape Shot and just fucking kill them.
Hadouken. Yeah, I guess you generate a bunch of mana with the opal in the process on that. What?
Yeah.
It's like the Harry Potter meme where it's like every time something happens, why is it always you 3? But in this case, it's just fucking Mox Opal. It's always Mox Opal. Every time. Every stupid deck, Mox Opal. The Pure Steel Paladin deck, Mox Opal. Urza, Mox Opal. KCI, Mox Opal. The Prison War deck, Mox Opal.
Emery Ascendancy,
Mox Opal. Yeah.
Well, sometimes with that deck it's Mox Amber.
Yeah, why not both, right? Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. And looking at the schedule, I would say if there is going to be bannings, they'll probably be sometime in February would be my guess. A few weeks before, or the beginning of March, maybe.
Yeah, so because Wizards hates SCG, they probably don't really look at SCG's data or whatever. So we need to do our own tournament to determine if these cards are oppressive.
Yeah.
Yep, cards are oppressive.
Dead dove do not eat.
It's I'm not sure if Hogak is a problem, so let's just wait till after Vegas.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
I can't believe they waited on that one. Yeah, well, I get to play with my Echoes for a while longer. I guess I'll make my 2-sided Snow Elk tokens. You got a Snow Elk on one side and a regular Elk on the other.
Oh, because people will be flying in to play Hogak, so if we ban it, then they'll have a deck when they fly in. They'll feel really bad.
Good.
So instead, people just didn't fly in because they didn't want to play against Hogak.
Yeah. Funny how that works, right?
But, anyway.
All right. Well, I think it's time to get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, and that's some Theros Beyond Death spoilers. They're hitting hard and fast now, and well, we've got a few lined up here to talk about. First one we got here is Staggering Insight, which I don't think is a very good card, but I'm excited to meme with this one every time someone drops a hot fucking take in a chat about Magic. Just hit him up with a screenshot of this bad boy.
Yeah, this is some art here.
Yeah, I don't even know what's going on. He's just he's being staggered. Clearly,
he's staggered.
He is staggered. This is an Uno reverse card in real life. This is what's happening here, depicted on this art. It's a white and a blue aura. And it says, when an enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has lifelink, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So it's bad Curious Obsession. is what this is.
It gives lifelink.
Woo, for a mana more. And yeah, you lose the must attack every turn or it goes away clause, but let's be real, a blue mana versus blue-white is a big difference. But heroic decks are probably going to be a thing again. So, having a sweet thing to slap on your heroic duder, give him some lifelink and a bit of a buff, draw some cards. That's pretty sweet, right?
Sure.
Whatever. Not worth talking about for Pioneer and Modern, which is what we care about here, so we'll move on. But stay tuned for some staggering insights in the future from us. The next one, this one looks a little bit more playable. This is Klothys, God of Destiny. Destiny is blind, apparently. It's more of a God of Justice thing, I would think, but there's a blindfold over Klothys. They are a enchantment creature god for 1 red green, 4/5 indestructible. As long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7, Klothys isn't a creature. And they have, at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a land, add red or green to your mana pool. Otherwise, you gain 2 life, and Klothys deals 2 damage to each opponent.
So, do you think Klothys would be like Zeus and like have a child with, a human or something?
Why you say that?
And if so, who would be Destiny's child?
Bravo. 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 Yeah. You deserve it. Amazing. Wow. Okay, I was not expecting that. Holy shit. That's hilarious. I was like, where is he going with this? This is really... Oh, that's funny. Okay. I thought it was bad. Actually hilarious.
It's also kind of bad.
It's pretty bad. But yeah, this card. This card is a card. I don't think it's going to be a creature very often outside of EDH, but I can see this in Modern, right?
It looks like budget Keranos.
Yeah, which is real because 5 mana is a lot of mana. 3 mana, not as much.
So it's a thing you can play, and if it resolves, the stupid control deck will have a really hard time getting rid of it, and it will kill them eventually.
Mm-hmm. Not as flexible as Keranos hitting creatures, but I mean, yeah.
I think very different kinds of decks want it.
Mm-hmm.
Keranos was a card that control decks played against other control decks and, grindy mid-range like value decks. So I don't really see an aggro deck playing this against a mid-range deck necessarily. Although it might be okay.
Pretty good against control though.
Yeah. But it ramps if something you care about, but just doing 2 damage that they can't do anything about.
It is weird because the power level seems more Pioneer power level, but there's a lot more enchantment based removal in Pioneer control decks. You got like cast outs floating around and such. And detention spheres being a lot more common than they are in Modern, I feel like. So it's kind of weird that the lower power format actually has more, I would say, readily available answers to this card. But I guess even in Modern, if you could stick this against a control deck, it's gonna put in work.
Yeah, it might be okay. It is 2 damage versus 3 is a lot slower though.
Yeah. So I don't know, but this card's worth keeping an eye on. I think it's kind of cool. Our next card is a bit of a throwback. It's Thirst for Meaning, which is 2 and a blue instant. Draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard an enchantment card. This is obviously a throwback to Thirst for Knowledge, which was a pretty solid card for a long time. I've played it in Modern more recently than I probably should have. So this card's cool, man. And I was just saying, that blue-white control in Pioneer plays a lot more enchantment-based answers. Here's a potential card you could shove into your blue-white control deck. Although I think when with Dig still being legal, that's probably not a thing. But if that card exits the format, Thirst for Meaning's kind of interesting as a selection spell. Instant speed is always great in control.
Yeah, much better than stupid sorcery speed. What is it? Careful? Not careful study.
Divination. It's not divination. What are you thinking? It's sorcery.
It's the draw 3, discard 2 unless you discard a land.
Oh. Yeah, that card's
from the original Ravnica.
That card is not very good.
Mostly because it's a sorcery.
Yeah, I forget what it's called. But yeah, I mean your options in Pioneer are you could play Hieroglyphic Illumination, which costs 4, or you could play Glimmer of Genius, which also costs 4. I think those are our best 4 mana draw spells at this point, right? Or do they print a new one? Oh, they printed Into the Story, but I don't know about that one. So this might have a niche in Pioneer, in decks that are interested in drawing cards and playing a longer game. I don't know about Modern though. What do you think about Modern? It's not too many decks playing enchantments that actually want to be playing blue and paying 3 to draw cards.
No, I don't think it's playable in Modern.
Yeah, but wouldn't be surprised to see this do a thing in Pioneer. And I think it will be good in Standard as long as it's a format where you can actually afford to instant speed pay 3 mana to draw cards.
Yeah, I mean it's also just a discard outlet if people are still trying to play Phoenix decks.
That's true. Our next card is Storm's Wrath. I don't think this card is going to do anything in Modern, but in Pioneer, this card is intriguing. It's a 2 red sorcery, deals 4 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. And I'm trying to remember, but I feel like the 3 mana 3 damage thing has been pretty common in Pioneer, but the jump to 4 was kind of hard. So having like a red Wrath of God almost is kind of big. There are a number of 5/5s floating around in the format, like Lovestruck Beast. And
is Questing Beast a 4/4?
It's a 4/4.
I think it is a 4/4.
Yeah, this is a 4/5. Yeah, Questing Beast is always kind of a problematic card. But let me have a look real quick and see. I'm pretty sure it's a 4/4.
I think it's a 4/4 because I think people have talked about Languish being.
It's a 4/4, yeah. So yeah, it gets Questing Beast. It doesn't get the 5. Was it a 5/4 elf actually? Huh? The 3 mana elf.
Yeah.
So yeah, the only thing it really misses in is Lovestruck Beast, that sees like widespread play, right? It gets Glorybringer, which is quite nice. So yeah, I think Red having access to air quotes Wrath of God is pretty solid, and also cleaning up Planeswalkers is definitely solid these days with the amount of random Teferis and garbage floating around. Narset.
Yeah, I mean 4 damage wasn't killing Oko, but you don't have to deal with that guy anymore anyway.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. It knocks a Chandra down quite a bit. It's good against Sorin. Yeah, I think this card's
Nissa.
Probably good. I don't think it's a main deck card unless you're playing like a more controlling red deck, like a rug deck or something. But I think this card will probably see some play just because it's it's jumping from 3 to 4 damage and hits Planeswalkers, which is pretty solid. So
I mean, it does give Rug like a sweeper-ish.
Yeah. Your options weren't the greatest before, so. But yeah, I like this card. I think this is like a very fair and balanced Magic card. I'm happy to see this get printed. We need more cards like this, and less like some of the other cards, like the next card, Underworld Breach. Chris talked about it a little bit, and we can kind of dig into it a little bit more here. Underworld Breach is a 1 and a red enchantment, and it says each non-land card in your graveyard has Escape. Escape is a mechanic that lets you recast cards from your graveyard by paying some mana and then exiling a set number of cards. When you cast a card of Escape, it resolves and goes to your graveyard. It is not exiled like something like Flashback. And so Underworld Breach says each non-land card in your graveyard has Escape. The escape cost is equal to the card's mana cost plus exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. So it says at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice Underworld Breach. So yeah, this card is a doozy when you start playing it with stuff like LED. where you can discard cards to feel the escape cost and make mana at the same time. And so I'm pulling it up here, but there is a loop you can run in Legacy. I'll pull it up here. So you can go, this is from the MinMax blog. They're a Legacy-oriented blog. They have good content. You should check them out. They pointed out that you can go land, Lotus Petal, Breach, LED, crack for triple blue, discarding your hand that contains Brain Freeze, and you now have a deterministic win. So you Brain Freeze yourself, which mills 12. You recast the LED by exiling 3. You crack for blue, blue, blue again. You Brain Freeze yourself again, milling 18. You're getting mana and cards of each loop, and at some point you turn the Brain Freeze on your opponent and mill them out. If they have an answer like Veil of Summer or Emrakul, you just put a Grape Shot in your deck, and you Grape Shot them. So,
wow,
pretty low floor. So on one hand, this seems super busted. On the other hand, turn 1 kills are not the craziest thing in a format like Legacy. I mean, Belcher's a thing. You've played a lot of Belcher, Chris.
Yeah, I mean,
that hand had to have land, Petal, Breach, LED, Brain Freeze. That's 5 cards. So, I don't know. I mean, you can obviously make it a little bit more robust than that, right? You could play other Petal effects or something. But I mean, you only have, 4 breaches in your deck. So.
But it really needs LED to do the thing.
Yeah. So I don't know. It is very busted when you can do it. But there's a lot of decks like that in Legacy. You can play... what was the other deck, the turn 1 combo deck that wasn't Belcher? It was with the creature, the Underworld, or Undercity...
You mean Oopsal spells?
Spells, yeah. You could play Oopsal spells. And there's other decks like that as well that, have turn 1 wins. So, I don't know. Underworld Breach is powerful, but I'm not sure if it's quite the boogeyman that some people make it out to be. But that is definitely it's definitely a very powerful card. It's like kind of like a Yawgmoth's Will that has, it's cheaper to play. The cards aren't exiled, but it does have an additional cost tacked on. So.
Big difference, though, is that after Yawgmoth resolves, the card gets exiled.
That's what I was saying, yeah.
So this one, you just keep looping the same card over and over.
Yeah, which is big, really big. So, yeah, I wonder, a more hybridized deck that's using, it's doing a combo, but also isn't just like all in on the Breach is probably where you're going to have to be. But I don't know. Legacy Storm Ant has always relied on, LED plus Infernal Tutor for a lot of its power. So a card like Underworld Breach doesn't need to stand alone. You can pair it with other stuff. And I'm sure you're happy breaching for stuff, just in general, getting some value off of it. So yeah, this card is definitely going to be something that's going to at least exist in decks in older formats, and might be busted in half in old formats and modern. Who knows? I don't know. You think we're going to see a sick, nasty Underworld Breach deck that's going to get something banned in the next few months?
Unlikely.
You don't think so?
Something might pop up eventually, but I don't think it's going to happen all that fast.
Gotta break it, Chris.
Not within the next few months.
No.
People are going to be trying to make it work, but
it is
I don't think a large group of people will be trying.
That's true. It takes a while to find these decks sometimes.
Although, who probably will be trying? I think Sam Black is already on the case.
Sam Black is excited, I'm sure. You think Matt Nass is into a card like this? Or maybe, well, it involves artifacts. The combo probably involves Mox Opal. So, Matt Nass does like him a Mox Opal. So, yeah, this definitely seems like something that all the pro teams are going to be looking at. Just looking at and testing just to see if they can crack it open with a medium amount of effort. I'm not sure if any of them will do a deep dive, but I don't think you can afford as a pro team to ignore the card if you were prepping for a modern GP. But the pro teams...
So maybe it's possible we see something break out in... Well, when is this set being printed?
A couple weeks, like a month from now at the top, I think. It's coming up pretty soon, right?
Yeah, I don't know. So like if, Urza goes back to being the boogeyman and everyone ditches their Emrys, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Because Underworld Breach has similar issues that like Storm has, right?
Yeah.
You need to have you need your graveyard to do the thing.
Yeah, rest in peace.
And you also need this stupid card to resolve.
Spell Snare back on the menu. Exciting times. But yeah, I don't know. This card's gonna be around at the very least, seeing play in weird niche spots in Legacy, Vintage, EDH, yada yada yada, and it might be completely busted in half. Who knows? But definitely gonna be a card you'll see again, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a card that raises eyebrows.
Yeah. Speaking of raising eyebrows, our next card kind of raised my eyebrows because it looks a lot like another card I've seen before, and that's our next card is Ox of Agonis. 3 red Ox creature with stats are 4/2. When it enters the battlefield, discard your hand, then draw 3 cards. That sounds quite like my old friend Bedlam Reveler. And just like Bedlam Reveler, this card cares about the graveyard. It has Escape for red, exile 8 other cards from your graveyard. It escapes with a +1/+1 counter on it. So for 2 mana and eating 8 cards out of your yard, you get a 5/3 that discards your hand and draws 3. Seems pretty good to me.
Yeah, 8 cards is a lot of cards.
It is. You know who's in the business of putting a lot of cards in their graveyard, though? Dredge. Could you imagine dredging or putting this in the graveyard with Dredge and then eating your random non-dredging crap, paying 2 and getting to dredge 3 times? I don't know. Seems interesting.
And get a 5/3.
Yeah.
Seems alright.
Seems solid. Kind of reminds me of Lot Troll a little bit. No, not Lot Troll. Grave Troll a little bit. Not quite the same. Grave Troll had the dredge stapled onto it, which was just absurd, but that's not a very good comparison. But yeah, this card is powerful, I feel like. Got good stats, a little bit expensive on the front end, but if you're just gonna bin it and cast it that way, 2 mana for 5/3 that draws you 3 cards is pretty hot. Yeah. People are definitely gonna be experimenting with this one.
I think people casting on the front hand are really not happy with what's going on.
Yeah, I would agree. A card like this, if Faithless Looting was still in the format, would be pretty busted.
If what was?
Faithless Looting was still in the format?
Oh. Yeah, it'd be good, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, holy shit. I'm glad that's not a thing. That seems way too easy.
Just put on your stupid burning inquiry decks.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll see a renaissance of those decks. But yeah, this one's
without looting? I doubt it.
Yeah, probably not. Good riddance. I hated playing against those decks. Our next card, I think I missed a card here. Our next card is Nyx Lotus, which I'm gonna pull up here. Somehow missed it. Nyx Lotus. I don't know why this card's called Lotus. It costs 4 mana. That's not a Lotus. It's an artifact. I guess that's a Lotus. It ETB's tapped, and it has tap. Choose a color. Add an amount of mana of that color equal to your devotion to that color. So it's a fixed Field of Nyx. Nixthos, trying to Nyx, yeah.
It's a Ficthos.
A fixed Thickthos. I don't know why they call this a Lotus. I don't get Lotus from this at all.
Yeah, I don't know. It's some dumb mana cannon.
Mana cannon. Do you think this is going to see play anywhere? 4 mana is a lot. This has a lot more opportunity cost than sticking a land into your deck does.
I don't really see it. Because most of the time, your devotion decks don't really need insane amounts of mana. But Nykthos was just free, right?
Yeah.
I don't see a mono black deck really wanting to invest for mana into this stupid thing. So they can untap and tap it for, maybe 3 pips.
Yeah, that seems
Whoop-de-doo.
freaking terrible. All right. We're gonna move on from this one then. I think I'm convinced. Our next card. This card could be much sweeter. It's this Storm Herald, 2 in a red for a 3/2 with haste. The haste is important because when Storm Herald enters the battlefield, you may return any number of aura cards from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to creatures you control. Exile those auras at the beginning of your next end step. If those auras would leave the battlefield, exile them instead of putting them anywhere else. Can you say Eldrazi Conscription?
All I have to say is no faithless looting.
Yeah. Again, another no faithless looting card. Man. I'm sure people are going to be making some freaking jank with this card. It's going to be awesome. You're just going to get slapped by a Storm Herald. Your opponent's going to bend some thick-ass enchantment on like turn 1 or 2, and you're going to be like, ugh.
Some crazy-ass, like... God, it's like there's some like 6 mana auras out there.
There's some really expensive auras out there.
They're just like that shit crazy.
Let's see if we can do just do a search for enchantment for aura and do a reversed search on mana cost. Let's do that. We'll sort them by CMC. We'll sort descending. Eldrazi Conscription is the most expensive at 8. Unfortunately, you can't get Overwhelming Splendor because it has to be attached to creatures you control. Most of these are actually not that bad. The really expensive ones steal stuff, which isn't going to happen. Eldrazi Conscription is really the big one. Maybe not as bad as we thought it was at first glance. Ha! Wait, you could play Infinite Reflection. When it enters the battlefield attached to a creature, each other non-token creature you control becomes a copy of it. Non-token creatures you control enter the battlefield as a copy of enchanted creature. It doesn't really do much though, because the Storm Herald already grabs all the crap in your graveyard already.
Yeah.
Prodigious Growth. Give it 7/7 and trample. Pollen Bright Wings. You could slap them and make a bunch of tokens. I guess the real threat might be like putting a few of these together, right? By their powers combined, they do something strange and busted.
Yeah, like Celestial Mantle. Double your life total.
Where's this at? Oh,
Elder Mastery.
When it hits them,
they discard 2. Like,
yeah.
Just have like some really gross combination of random shit.
Yeah. Oh,
Indrik Umbra. 4/4 first strike. All creatures able to block it must do so. Totem Armor.
Yeah, I don't even know. Let's see here. Gigantiform. Enchanted creature is an 8/8 and has trample. It would lose haste though, right? If you did that to it. Oh, there you go. Knightly Valor gets you a 2/2. Full free. Yeah, I don't know. These are actually kind of underwhelming compared to what I thought.
Here we go. Corrupted Conscience. Gives it Infect.
Oh, that's quite good. Holy shit. Which one is this? How much is it?
It's 5 mana. You control enchanted creature. Enchanted creature has Infect.
Yes, that will do.
5 mana give it Infect doesn't seem the best though. I think there's a cheaper one that gives Infect. There has to be.
Yeah, you slap it together with something that gives it evasion.
Genju of the Realm. Jesus, that's not a creature aura though. I think it was called like Glistening Oil. I want to say it was Glistening Oil.
That sounds about right. Yeah, you could definitely put together some wild combo.
Yeah, so it gives it infect. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a -1/-1 counter on it.
Uh-huh.
But who cares?
They're dead.
They're dead.
Huh. Yeah, so you could definitely like make your guy super swole, give it infect, and give it evasion.
But I guess if you're putting it from the graveyard, then it doesn't really matter which one you use.
We get all of them.
No, I'm saying like...
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Unless you want 8 enchantments to give infect, I guess.
Probably. Seems relevant.
Nightly Valor.
Holy crap.
Octopus Umbra?
You put Pattern of Rebirth on it, so when it dies, you just put another Storm Herald into play?
Yeah, so you just get Storm Herald, Octopus Umbra, and any buff thing and infect, and it just fucking dies.
Amazing.
It's like this, like, oh, alright, we got it. You have Octopus Umbra, Drake Umbra, and Glistening Oil, or the other one. And you have an 11/11 flying infector with haste.
Seems solid. How are we getting him into the yard?
You could play that new Thirst for whatever.
Boom. Is there an Entomb for enchantments? You need like Buried Alive for enchantments. Buried Alive would be like, for enchantments, would be like the card. Puts 3. Boom. Done. Mm. Can't get bogged down on this for too long, but I am curious. Getting a lot of aromatherapy results on Google here. It's concerning. But anyways. Oh, you could Gifts Ungiven. Can you do it with 2? Is there any a combo of 2 that does it?
I mean, I guess Eldrazi Conscription plus Infect, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So you could Gifts Ungiven into Storm Herald. Seems expensive and flimsy for what you get, but also seems super sweet. This is a step up from Aura Swap Boggles, I guess.
Is it though?
No, not really. I don't know. You have to have the stupid Boggle, the Aura Swap, and then 2 auras, right? Or no, Aura Swap replaces one, right? Or how does that work?
Yeah, so you need the Conscription in your hand, and the Aura Swap Aura, and the Invisible Stalker, Boggle Idiot.
Yeah. Anyways.
But you can, like, open the armory.
Oh, that's right. Got him. Or Jeskai now.
And, like, that Pilgrim card.
Oh, yeah. Heliod's Pilgrim, I think it's called. Pauper Cube All-Star. All right. Well, we'll put this one. We'll put a bookmark in this one and come back to it later. See what we. Sorry, making a note there. See what we think about that at a later time. For now, let's see. Moving on. We're getting bogged down here. We have a Kunaros, Hound of Athreros. It's like dogs that sound like their owners. It is a 3/3. It has 3 heads. It has Vigilance, Menace, and Lifelink. 3 keywords. It says creature cards in graveyards can't enter the battlefield, and players can't cast spells from graveyards. It's Grafdigger's Cage on a doggo.
With the exception of from library.
Yes, that's true.
Fear not, Mystic Forge players.
Mystic Forge or the Worm.
Spearmental Frenzy.
What's
Pan-Glacial Worm.
Pan-Glacial Worm. God, that fucking card. So yeah, it's 3/3 is a little modest for Modern, where Lightning Bolt is a card, as well as Fatal Push. It does have a mess of keywords though. It attacks, it blocks, it gains life in the process. It is a pretty decent hate dog. I think it'll see me play in Pioneer, maybe, where instead of Bolt we have to play Shock.
Sure.
Wow.
I mean, it's kind of hard to block. It's vigilant. It protect. It also attack.
Most importantly, they don't come back.
Your shit don't come back.
Yeah, this card's sweet. Nothing too special to talk about. These are effects that are pretty well covered and known. Putting them on a doggo seems pretty decent though. I think the stats are a little underrated for the mana cost, but it does have a ton of text on it, so you know.
What a time to be alive. 3 mana for 3/3 with all this text. Wow. If only it had more stats.
If only it were an Oko. 3 mana gets you a lot of elk these days, which are also 3/3s.
Yeah, so it's on par.
Yeah, it's on par. Our next card is been a popular one in the spoiler conversation. It's a Heliod, Sun Crown, 2 and a white for a 5/5 legendary enchantment creature god. He is indestructible, and he also has, as long as your devotion to white is less than 5, he's not a creature. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or enchantment. That includes him as an option that you control. And for 1 and a white, you can give another target creature lifelink until end of turn. So this one's it's a combo.
So we already know everyone's talking about Pioneer combo with Walking Ballista.
And Modern. And any other format. Other than Standard.
Yeah, so all you need is a 2/2 Ballista, a Heliod Sunground, and you pew 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 your way all the way up.
All the way.
Going all the way up.
Nice curve too. You drop your Heliod on 3, your Ballista on 4. I guess you have to... Actually, no, you can't do that on 4 because you have to give the Ballista...
You have to activate it. One thing I have seen that some people are talking about for Modern is Collected Company, your Heliod Suncrowned in a Spike Feeder.
Ooh, that's nice.
Instant infinite life.
Seems good. We got a lot of those kind of combos kicking around already in Modern, though. But we are reaching a critical mass tied together by Coco. There are a lot of these 2-card combos in green-white now. A lot of them. We've got, what?
Well, see, so like the Devoted Druid, it's a 2-card combo for infinite mana. You need something to do with your mana. So
yeah.
It's kind of a 3-card combo. And then the original, like, you know, Kitchen Finks Infinite Life still needed a sack outlet, so that was still a 3-card combo. Mm-hmm. This is the first, I think, actual 2-card green-white, just green-white Infinite Life combo, right? I mean, there was Spike Feeder Archangel Thune, but...
That's a lot more mana.
It's a lot more mana.
That's true. And you can't Coco into Archangel.
Nope.
So, yeah, that's true. I guess, 2 versus 1. It is a little bit more mana intensive to kick it off than those ones are, but...
Let's see, with Spike Feeder, you don't need to activate it.
That's true.
It just does it by itself.
That is true, actually. That is a little bit more cost effective. That'll give you plenty of time to live until you can find your Ballista.
I mean, granted, Urza decks don't really concern themselves with such meddling things as infinite life.
Yeah. Like, oh, infinite life? I'll make infinite Thopters. +1.
And infinite life as well.
Yeah. Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. Because infinite not actually a real option in Magic when just demonstrating a loop. You have to actually choose a number, and they can choose a number that is 1 higher or more. So
you both just kind of look at each other and count how many cards are in your deck.
Yeah. So yeah, outside of degenerate combos. How do we feel about Heliod in a lower power format like maybe Pioneer? Devotion to white, not the hardest to combine. You need 4 more pips. It's not too bad in a white aggro deck. Gives you a 5/5 indestructible duder. He gives stuff lifelink and puts counters on him in the process. It's not terrible, right? Like in a white aggro deck. I kind of feel like he's doing kind of not the same, but remember 3-mana Thassa from original Theros? She was kind of a big butt you got to play in your blue aggro deck, and obviously she had more relevant effects with giving unblockable and stuff. But I don't know, popping up your dudes isn't so bad, right?
I mean, if your deck is instantly gaining life just kind of as a byproduct of the cards you're playing, then sure, I guess it's all right. I don't know if there's really any dedicated a Johnny's Pridemate decks running around.
There's like a Walker or something that shits out Pridemates that's like in standard right now, isn't there? There's some card that made Pridemates like as tokens. So
maybe.
So yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's a good friend with Nick's Fleece Ram, I guess.
Oh yeah. Get you a thick ass woolly bro.
If it ever becomes a creature, notably, you cannot give itself lifelink.
Yeah.
If that's something you're into.
You can stash the counters on Heliod while he's still an enchantment, though, from the way he's worded, so.
Yeah. Or any other
nice.
god you have laying around if you're playing more.
Doesn't even have to be on a god. You could just put it on a random enchantment.
That's true.
In case you have a Starfield of Nyx that you're going to find later. Or some other weird shit. So yeah, Heliod's cool. Our next card, I don't know if it's going to be as widely played or as good as Heliod, but I think it's freaking sweet. It's Atris, Oracle of Half-Truths, 2 blue-black, 3/2 menace, legendary creature, human advisor. It says when Atris, Oracle of Half-Truths enters the battlefield, target opponent looks at the top 3 cards of your library and separates them into a face-down pile and a face-up pile. Put 1 pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. This is a cool card. I like this card a lot. This card makes me all tingly.
John loves these like mini game cards.
Oh, it's so fun. I don't know why.
Which means your favorite card in the game is actually Goblin Game, right?
I fucking hate that card. I don't like the shit that involves like flipping or rolling. Anything that has flipping coins or rolling dice can get bent. I fucking hate that shit. But when it comes to like,
neither of those things happen in Goblin Game.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. You hide crap, right, in your hands.
Yeah, you hide things.
No, fuck that. I just want my opponent to have to sort piles of cards for me, or me to sort piles of cards for them. I find that like very interesting.
This card's actually really interesting because one's face up, one's face down. So it has to be a pile of 2 and 1, obviously.
Yeah.
You're not going to do 0 and 3.
Why? Yeah.
It's 3 face down cards. You want them or bin them. But you can put the 1 card face down or the 2 cards face down.
Yeah.
Right, so you can like split 1 card, put it face down, and it's like, oh, this card's really scary. I really don't want you to have it.
Land, face down, also land.
Or it's like land, removal spell, and then like land. And like, oh, I'll take the face down card. Fuck, it was a land.
The right answer for these type of cards.
I'll take the guaranteed. I'll just take the land and the okay card. And it was like, oh, it was your bomb all along.
I think you're almost always supposed to take like the bigger pile unless like you need a specific card to win. Yeah. But yeah, it's a 3/2 menace for 4.
But then what happens if they show you like a really good card, 2 face down cards?
Oof.
Then you're like, what?
Yeah.
What are you hiding?
Land.
Or is this the biggest bluff of all bluffs?
Yeah. It's a bluff that probably works well on good players too, because a lot of them are like trained to take the bigger stack with these type of cards. Yeah, I hope this card is good because this is a great card for coverage, right? Like, oh man, could you imagine like this is like comes up on SEG and like it's like Cedric and Patrick are like doing coverage, like losing their
like, oh man,
fucking minds.
Oh man, we got 2 face-up cards and 1 face down. Oh no, he's going for the face down. He's going straight for the face down. What is it? Oh my god, it's Lightning Helix!
It's 2 mountains. Oh man. Yeah, it's gonna be lands. It's the face down cards are gonna be lands a lot. It's just gonna be like, oh fuck. Lands. Oh man. Oh man, could you imagine if your opponent's like mana screwed and you give like face up, face down, and they're like, oh man, it's the land, I'm gonna take it, and it's just like not a real card, and it's not a land either.
It's like, oh, a 5-drop. Shit.
Oh man, yeah, I love this card already. I really hope this card's playable in like Pioneer. And could you imagine like Scarab getting this card? Oh, so much value. 4/4 Menace that gives you like 2 cards. Like, so good. So good. Yeah, I'm really excited about this card. I hope.
Wait, John, it's a human. Is this the final evolution?
Oh man, exciting. Yeah, it's pretty expensive. That'd be a good sideboard card, I guess, for humans. It's like, could you imagine though? It's like, you're like, oh, I just need like haste for the win or whatever, and they're like, it's like, Champion of the Parish, Kitesail Freebooter, face down card, and you're like, oh man, that's it. That's the Mantis Rider. You grab it, it's like fucking Aether Vial on turn 8 or whatever. Oh, this card's so exciting. I wanna play with this card. This card seems great. It just seems like it's gonna lead to so many great stories. I just really hope it's like actually it seems like it's playable, right? Like the rate's good enough.
Yeah, I mean it's a 3/2, it draws 2 most of the time.
Yeah, with Menace, like I think it's playable, especially in blue black. So fingers crossed. I'm hopeful about this card. But yeah, we'll move on because I can go on about this card all day. Speaking of cards that have oodles of value tacked onto them, our next card is Tectonic Giant. This card I think is going to be pretty good in Pioneer. It's 2 red for a 3/4 creature, Elemental Giant, and it says whenever it attacks or becomes the target of a spell an opponent controls, choose one. Tectonic Giant deals 3 damage to each opponent, or exile the top 2 cards of your library, choose one of them. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card. This card reminds me of the ability on the new Giant that's like Stomp on one side and Bone Hewer Giant, Bone Crusher Giant.
It's Bone Crusher Giant.
Bone Crusher Giant. Yeah, it like shocks you if you target the fucker. It's awful. No one ever wants to like point, and it's like 3 toughness, which in Pioneer is a bitch, right? Like, or is it 4? No, it's 3, right?
I think it's 3.
4. I thought it was a 4/3. I think it's a 4/3. So this has even more toughness. It's even harder to fucking kill. And it can zap you for 3 instead of 2. Or it just gives you a fucking card. Like, best of the top 2 cards to your deck that's so good. Like, man, this is such a good, like, top end for an aggressive deck or just like a mid-range red card. I don't know. This card seems really, really good to me.
Yeah, and it does on attack too. So it's like a baby Inferno Titan, kind of.
Mm-hmm. And like, if your opponent tries to remove it, they're down a card. Like you still have the card. Like, I mean, maybe you could double whiff, but it says play, not cast, so you can get lands off of it.
Yeah.
Which is great too. If you're trying to find lands, you attack. You get to like scry 2 basically towards a land. Not even scry because you get to cast it. And then if you're getting aggressive, it just hits them, and if they try to deal with it, it shocks them, or it bolts them, actually. It's like, seems really good for 2 red. I think this card is really good in the Pioneer green-red decks that just play like the Anowhere Elf into 3-drop, and then they have like random 4-drops that are really good too. They're playing like Chandra and shit like that. Like, hey, Tectonic Giant. Tax too.
So, on a scale from 0 to Questing Beast,
where is it?
Where is it?
So Questing Beast is a 10? Is what we're saying?
For like random 4-drops in Pioneer, I think Questing Beast is like has to be towards the top of the heap, right?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I would agree with that. So if we're on 0 to 10 and 10 is questing beast, I'd say this is probably like an 8, right?
Yeah, I think it's good.
7 or an 8?
The questing beast is
really good. That is a keyword soup of a card. This is definitely not quite to that level. It doesn't have evasion for 1. It's not in green for 2.
But it could get you card advantage, which is insane.
Yeah, it really is. And red decks can struggle with that sometimes too. So there have been a lot of mid-rangey red decks. Also, if you play this with Tormund, the dwarf that makes your stuff deal 2 more damage. So if they go to fucking kill this thing, it fucking lava axes them. Like what? Like, so that's insane, and that's seeing play. There already are a bunch of these like kind of big red decks playing that card, and this slots in real easy to that. So yeah, I just think this card is definitely going to see Pioneer play. I don't know about Modern. It's a little slow. Maybe in the prison decks, but I think they enjoy the diversification of permanent types they get from playing Chandra. So
I don't know. In modern red prison decks, I think you're going to be hard pressed to find a better like Ender creature than Hazoret.
Yeah, Hazoret is really good, and Hazoret is legal in Pioneer, but she is kind of hard to. It is hard to get empty-handed in the bigger red deck sometimes. So, but she is very good. So that's Tectonic Giant. I like that one quite a bit. And speaking of beefy 4-drops, our next one is Polukranos. Paul U. Kranos is back. He is unchained this time, or it is unchained. It is a legendary creature, zombie Hydra for 2 black and a green. It's a 0/0, but wait, there's more. It enters the battlefield with 6 +1/+1 counters on it and escapes with 12 +1/+1 counters on it instead. And it says if damage would be dealt to Polukranos while it has a +1/+1 counter on it, remove that damage and prevent that damage and remove that many +1/+1 counters from it. It also has 1 black and a green. Polukranos fights another target creature. It escapes for the cost of 4 black and green and exiling 6 other cards from your graveyard. This card seems fucking busted. It's huge. It's 4 mana for a 6/6 with abilities and upside. I don't know. This card is large. Yeah, this card is hefty. It's really hefty.
It does get whittled down eventually.
Yeah?
I suppose that's part of the Hydra flavor.
Yeah, I mean, it's just gaining so much card advantage. The whittling down is things dying or being used to target it. Like, obviously it gets, slapped by a fucking Doomblade, but it comes back. So, yeah, this card is good. There's just a lot of card advantage and power and toughness packed into this thing. Also, the fact that you get a 6 mana 12/12 on the back end. Yeah,
it's quite big. That's quite large.
Like that's a lot of power and toughness for 6 mana. Yeah, the stats on this card are just crazy high. Really, really crazy high. I mean, it doesn't have any evasion, but it fights things. Like
it just eats things and then
like. You escape it, you get a 12/12. The next turn, you can probably fight twice. It's killing both those things, let's be real. And it's probably still alive. It can munch on a 5/5 and a 6/6 and live to tell the tale. That's just crazy. And it blocks well, too. This card is really, really good. I think if green-black is, worthy of playing, this card is going to be a pricey mythic. Looks like it's pre-ordering at $9 right now. I think that'll probably go up if it sees breakout play. But who knows? Maybe it just gets fogged by Cat Oven forever.
Just fight the cat. I don't know.
The cat just comes back, right? Like, Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it just gets fogged by Cat Evan. I don't know. Yeah, this card, there's not a lot to say. It just has a ton of stats for low price. How do you feel about the escape mechanic in general? It's probably a good point to kind of bring that up.
I think a lot of people might be unhappy that we have more graveyard stuff. But
the cost is hefty.
Yeah, but I think that it's a much more balanced flashback.
Yeah.
Like, sure, flashback, you can only flash it back once and it's gone. You can escape over and over and over again, but can you really escape over and over again?
Yeah, it takes 2 resources instead of 1, right?
Yeah, and there's no way to really like reduce any of the, exile clause.
Yeah. It feels like
and that way it's like you can keep escape cards from getting recast without having to snipe the escape card at the exact moment, right?
Yeah, it's true.
So if you can keep the graveyard low enough, it's fine. It makes cards like, like Relic of Progenitus a lot better, right? Mm-hmm. It's like Relic of Progenitus is way better against escape than flashback cards.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think the first time is pretty free, right? For most of these cards, you get out on parole real easy. But the second and future times are a little bit harder to do without kind of dedicating yourself to doing it. Yeah, a card like Polukranos, right? Like by the time Polukranos dies and is looking to be escaped, you probably have 6 other cards. The game is probably developed to that point.
Yeah, especially in formats like Standard and Pioneer, without fetch lands and stuff. It's just way harder to get the raw number of cards in your yard.
Yeah.
To just keep doing it.
I mean, Dig Through Time and Treasure Cruise have been a perfect example of that, right? Like Delve has not been that berserk in those formats where I mean, you're just not gassing up with fetches. So
I mean, 2-man Dig Through Time is still insane, but it's not happening every turn of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're not chaining them off every turn. That shit was fucking gross. All right, well, moving on then. Our next card is Haktos, the Unscarred. Red, white, legendary creature, human warrior. He is a 6/1. He also has to attack each combat if able, which is quite a downside, but fear not, he has a upside as well. As Haktos enters the battlefield, choose 2, 3, or 4 at random. So I guess that's roll a 6-sided dice, and 1 and 2 are 2, 2 and 3 are 3, or 1 and 3 and 4 are 3 and 4, 5 and 6 are 4. I don't know. It's going to be hard to remember for people like me that are terrible at that kind of crap. But you roll a die, and you get 2, 3, or 4 at random, and he has protection from each converted mana cost other than the chosen number. That's quite good. We misread this one when we first saw it, right? We thought it was that it did not get protection from 1 ever, but it gets protection from everything except what you rolled.
Yeah, so we thought it said it was not protected from the one you rolled, but it had protection from the other 2.
Yeah.
It has protection from all of the other numbers.
Always pro Lightning Bolt, Danwar Elves, whatever. Never can get hit by anything cost 1 or 5 or more. It
always has protection from Primeval Titan.
He is Achilles. He has an Achilles heel, and then it's either permanents and spells that cost 2, 3, or 4. Varying gameplay. Having to attack every turn is kind of a bummer, but he's probably going to get to shove in a decent.
Yeah, I mean, if he can't be blocked, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, your red white deck is definitely gonna, if you're playing him, gonna have ways to clear the way for whatever it is that he is weak to. 4-drops are probably the hardest to clear the way from, but they're also the least likely to be on the battlefield, right? Because they're the most expensive. So
yeah.
Whereas 2-drops is a bit of a more appreciable weakness, but 2-drops are also easier to kind of get out of the way, sweep aside so he can get in there and do his thing. Kills pretty quick, 6 a crack. Trades if whatever ends up being able to block him, so you at least get your card back. I don't know. I was kind of down on him at first, but I thought about it a bit more. He doesn't seem too terrible. I don't know if we'll see much of him, though. He's just kind of a big dumb beater.
Yeah, and it's also random. So, I mean, people don't really like playing with that kind of effect.
It is harder to, like, play against him, too, for that same reason, though. Right? Well, I guess you just choose stuff that doesn't target. Infest effects.
If you're really worried about the card, then you're just gonna look towards edicts and wraths and stuff like that.
Yeah, don't even have to be much of a wrath, just something that does 1 to everything. Nausea gets him real good. My weakness was old chicken salad.
It's like shrivel.
So yeah, I don't know. He's interesting, unique design, but I don't know if he'll be.
I guess Plague Engineer is probably the most reasonable.
Human, yeah, that's gross. Ugh. Yeah, he is a card that can see play in Modern Humans, I guess, but Plague Engineer kind of puts the kibosh on that.
I will say it's not as insane as True Nemesis in the sense that you can't. It's protected from all the stuff, so you can't throw swords on him.
Yeah.
Thank God.
What if he's not Pro 3? Yeah. His weakness is 3, but it's also his strength.
Right? It's like, what modern 3-drop would you be afraid of? Like Oko, I guess. So then give him like a Sword of Fire and Ice protection from Oko.
Oh man. Is Skullclamp cost 1 or 2?
1.
I was like, is there any good 2-mana equipment?
Umazov's
Jite. Oh, in Legacy, you got the Jite, you got the sword. I don't know what you'd put on him at 4.
There's not really anything at 4.
Argentum Armor is like 6.
Yeah. Lash Shrith. Play your Urborg.
Oh, that's spicy. Yeah, anyways.
2 mana, you could equip him with the Mortar Paw.
It seems bad. It seems fucking terrible. Yeet. Our next card is.
Oh, but can you?
Hmm?
Oh, yeah. Oh no, it doesn't work. Never mind. I guess you like. You need a lot of islands though. It's like you if it's the number's 3, you just take that shit with like Vidalcan shackles.
Oof, gross.
But what, you need 6 islands?
It's a lot of islands. Yeah. Unfortunately, creatures being swole as fuck for their mana cost was kind of the downfall of Vidalcan shackles. Tarmogoyf, not so attractive of a target.
I guess you can hijack
Hijack? Wow. Anyways, our next card is Dryad of the Elysian Grove, which Scryfall has translated. It's got a pun for the name. They call it Ido Lawn, like Lawn. Because it's green. That's great. And it plays lands. It is 2 and a green for an enchantment creature nymph. He is a 2/4 who bears a striking resemblance to Geralt of Rivia, in my opinion. Hey, anyone watch The Witcher yet? You should if you haven't. You're going to get spoiled if you don't. Eidolon, you may play an additional land each turn. And it also has lands you control are all basic land types in addition to their other types. So it's kind of like Courser of Krufix, Oracle Moldiah effect mixed with Prismatic Omen. For 3 mana on a 2/4 body. It
actually doesn't have any effect that Courser of Krufix has.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Krufix has the other half of Oracle. It's Oracle or Azusa, not even Azusa. There's another thing that
it's a wayward. It's a wayward sword tooth.
Yeah, there you go.
Stapled to a prismatic omen.
There you go. Also a 2/4. This card seems good. You interested in this for Amulet? I know you've probably been asked like 20 times already.
I mean, it's a better card in Amulet than Course of Crucifix. And people have played Courser and Amulet before.
Yeah, or Swordtooth, which people tried to make happen.
Yeah, Swordtooth just wasn't good enough.
Yeah, too hard to turn on. If you have Ascend,
and so people saying, "Oh, this card beats Blood Moon." It only beats Blood Moon if you play it after the Blood Moon.
Yeah,
which is the problem.
Yeah, because like, oh, you're not gonna have green at that point. Otherwise, you could just cast Rex Sage.
Yeah. So does it beat Blood Moon? Not really. I mean, being a creature that can block already makes it better than fucking the dinosaur.
The Swordtooth.
Like, I think people played Courser just for the sake of like, oh, it's kind of good against aggro, but I've tried it in Courser Field, absolutely horrendous. Double green made it really, really hard to play on turn like 2 or 3 actually.
That makes sense actually.
So being one green makes this card actually a lot better. Maybe it's good enough. I don't know. The deck's like really tight on space these days. It seems hot fire in the new decks, right? Without Amulet, because then you can still play Valakut.
Yeah, it does seem decent.
Yeah, why choose between Valakut and Field of the Dead when you can just play both?
Probably play Rug at that point.
I mean, you could just splash the Valakuts. You don't even need to be playing red cards. You don't want to.
That's true. You don't even need a full set, probably.
Yeah, maybe like 1 or 2. Probably fine.
Yeah, probably. Another unique name for your Field of the Deads.
Yeah. And since they're all mountains anyway, so... I mean...
Interesting. Alright, well...
Like, can you imagine, like, sitting there, oh, I'm gonna play a land, bolt your thing, and make a 2/2. Like...
That's a lot of value.
Seems pretty absurd.
Yeah. Okay. Keep your eye on this one. The art on this one. The art cracks me up. I really want to see a Witcher altar. I think his face looks like Geralt of Rivia. Like, dead on. That and the long hair. Our next card. Thrix? I don't know, how would you pronounce that? Thrix, the Sudden Storm. It's 3 blue for a 4/5 legendary creature, elemental giant with flash and flying. It has spells you control with converted mana cost 5 or greater, cost 1 less to cast, and can't be countered. This is an interesting card.
I don't know if I've ever seen an elemental giant before.
Yeah. Is Omnath not a giant? He's just an elemental?
He's just an elemental.
Not big enough. Too small of a boy.
So yeah, it's air elemental with an extra toughness and flash and other text.
At rare. Yeah, I don't know. The cost reduction, the ability is only on stuff that costs 5 or more, which is a little bit restrictive. I don't know. It was intriguing though. The flash aspect is cool, right? Just as like a finisher in a control deck.
Yeah. I guess it plays nice with Dig Through Time.
Yeah, it does have to contend with another card that plays even better with Dig Through Time and Pioneer though, and that's Torrential Gearhulk. 1 mana more.
True.
Also has flash, bigger stats. Recast that Dig Through Time for free.
But this makes your Torrential Gearhulk 5 mana.
And uncounterable. That's
this card seems really good in control mirrors, right?
Yeah, it does.
You just like sneak it in there. If you can find a window to sneak it in there, and then all of your big payoff spells are just uncounterable now.
Yeah.
Seems pretty good. Like all your insane X spells, right?
Yeah.
Sinks is ref for 1 million, it can't be countered. Oops.
It's beating him for 4 in the every turn too. Yeah, I don't know. It's cool. It's probably gonna be kind of a niche card, but maybe in standard, right? Standard's been so efficient lately though, so I don't know.
But it's like one of the most efficient like flash beaters that we've seen in a long time, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like, well, we had Teferi, which was like a 3/4 with no evasion. And then we had Gearhulk. Have there been any other flash? Was Eater of Dreams, did that have flash?
Eater of Dreams?
I think it was Eater of Dreams, right? The one from Guilds of Ravnica. No, it's not Eater of Dreams. Shoot. Well, I'm not
Pearlink Ancient had flash.
Dream Eater was 4 blue flash flying 4/3 that had Surveil 4. And when you do, you may return target non-land permanent and opponent controls to its owner's hand. That was a card. People were trying that out on Arena. I saw people messing with that for a while. Big flash flying threat that gave you selection and had tempo. That's the best one recently, I think, though. And this is definitely better than that, I would say.
Yeah.
2 more toughness and protection. I don't know, maybe the card selection is better. Hard to say. Maybe Dream Eater is better than this. Cost 1 mana more, though. Also a mythic. So we've got, I think, one more card here, specially requested by Chris. You wanna lay this one out for us, Chris?
So this guy is called Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. Uro? It's a Simic colored card that's 3 mana, so it's busted.
Oh yeah.
It's a legendary creature, Elder Giant. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless it escaped. So it goes outside, tries to go outside, see some fresh air. Nope, straight to the bin.
Did not escape.
Do not escape. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
I mean, you kind of collect your $200.
Well, when it comes to play or attacks, you gain 3 life, draw a card, and then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. So, the first time you play it, it's kind of like a 3 mana growth spiral that gains 3 life. So for 1 more mana, you get it's sorcery speed, but you gain 3 life.
It's also a 6/6.
Yeah, not exciting, but not the worst. It escapes for green, blue, exiling 5 other cards from graveyard. So if we escape, it gets to, stick around. Oh, it's also a 6/6.
Yeah. It's interesting that these there's a few of these giants that they die unless you sack them unless they escaped. It's like Evoke. That's a mechanic we haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a weird Evoke.
Except you have to evoke it the first time.
Yeah, which is cool. I like this design space they're exploring with these. So tell me why this one's good.
So it gives you value immediately, right? It's an ATB. So 3 mana to ramp and gain 3 life isn't the worst thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the best thing, but it's the worst thing. So if you're playing a sort of ramp deck, right, your big problems are getting run over by aggro decks, so gaining some life is nice there. And then if you escape it, you're basically paying 4 mana for a 6/6. And ignoring the fact that it gains life and ramps you, you're drawing a card.
Yeah.
So
true.
4 mana 6/6 says enter the battlefield, draw a card. Whenever attacks, draw a card. Seems good.
Let's be real. You just like it because it's green, a giant, and a 6/6 that gets lands into play.
Now, before any of you out there ask me, is this card good at Amulet? No, shut up. It's not. It's terrible. Growth Spiral is not good in the deck. Too hard to cast. Why would this card be any better? Also, exiling 5 other cards from your graveyard? That's a lot of cards.
Yeah, an Amulet? Yikes. Same reason Drown in the Walk is a little dicey against Amulet a lot of the time.
Because you don't really... you have Once Upon a Time now. Oh, it's a free cantrip. Yeah, that's a 1 card. All the other cards go to your graveyard is because people killed them.
Just Ancient Stirrings.
Yeah, speaking of Ancient Stirrings, thank you for reminding me, John, going back to talk about Amulet Titan deck lists.
Oh no. What have I done?
All the Amulet lists are they're all the same exact 75, so basically. they're not playing Ancient Stirrings at all.
What?
They just don't play it. They play Explorer instead.
Whoa, we're back in Explorer land? Oof.
So Explorer, more powerful cantrip than Ancient Stirrings. There you go.
Wow. How the turntables have turned.
But even with Explorer, there's no way in hell you're getting 5 cards in your graveyard.
Yeah.
So if this were to go into a, rampy Titan deck, the blue-green Titan ramp decks that are floating around now might be interested in 1 or 2 of these, right?
Yeah,
because they're playing fetch lands, they're playing Zakura Tribe Elders, as well as Explorers and that kind of shit. So they have a lot more ways to get 5 cards in the graveyard.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it is a, semi-recursive 6/6. And if you're in the position where you're recurring this thing, Field of the Dead's probably online, if not close to being online, so any card you draw is either zombies or more gas.
That's true. Digging into the deck is good then.
Yeah, so it's kind of like another payoff. Because the decks can't really play Taloria West in any great number anymore, because you can't really pick them up because you don't really play bounce lands. Because you don't play bounce lands because you don't play amulets, so just having more threats is probably not the worst place to be.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, card's cool. You gonna pick some up?
Yeah. It depends. Because I don't really know exactly if this blue-green Titan deck is the kind of deck I really want to be playing. Because I didn't particularly find Titan, I was playing Breach Titan, but I didn't particularly find the deck all that interesting to play. You do the same thing all the time, and it gets kind of old. Just like the big differences I'm seeing between this deck and Amulet Titan. Amulet Titan's a much more like toolboxy type of deck.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this ramp deck might be just a kind of meta call. Because, you beat Oko by either going over the top of it or comboing out, right? You don't really beat Oko decks by plague removal and creatures.
You beat them by wargating in another Oko.
Yes, clearly.
I haven't forgotten. We're gonna have to get cooking on this one after the cast, Chris.
Yeah, if I'm still interested in a no amulet ramp field deck, then yeah, I'll probably try and pick some up to try it out.
Gotcha. Awesome.
I don't know if it has a home in Pioneer anymore since Field is banned. I don't really know if there's. I've kind of been away for a few weeks. So I haven't really been keeping up exactly with Pioneer, so I don't know if there's still blue-green ramp decks running around doing anything.
A little bit. Not a whole lot. There are some.
The lack of fetch lands hurts this card a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I think that's kind of our crop of spoilers we really wanted to go over. We're coming up against over the 2-hour mark here, so I think that's probably a good place to wrap it up for our first episode back here. Anything else you want to chat about before we get into our Solid of the Week?
We talk about Mystical Dispute.
In what context?
Do you think that this card is just really good and deserves to be in everyone's sideboard, or do you think it's kind of an inbred card because of the Oko Menace?
Oh, it's super inbred. I see it mostly on challenges on Moto, I feel like, and these SCG events where I see a lot of them. I see a main deck sometimes too. Yeah, it's I think it's not just because of Oko. I think it's because of Urza too. Because most of the hammer cards in the Urza decks are blue.
That's true.
You got Whir, you got Urza, you've got sideboard cards like Tezzeret. Although that's not as popular as it used to be. The counter spells. So if you want to counter fight against someone else doing stupid ass shit, Oko obviously is very important to answer, especially on the draw. Having an answer on the draw is really important. Also, to be able to gem your Oko on turn 4, you can have that as protection. No, I think it's an inbred card. I mean, it's good, but I don't think it would see as much widespread play as it is. I think there are other counter spells that are worth playing if you're concerned about the meta at large. Like our meta at our shop doesn't really have very much in the way of these, Urza, Titan type decks that are, kind of at the top of the format as a whole. It's just got like a real wide slice of the format. It's kind of like, people play what they like playing there, and so you can run into anything. It's kind of when people talk about modern, there's the tournament modern versus like, the shop modern, and we definitely have like the fucking, soup. You got everything. Like, you have to be ready to play against a very wide open format. But also, not just, stone cold to the big decks. And I just think, counter spells on the sideboard like Disdainful Stroke or even Ceremonious Rejection, although I'm not a big fan of that card, and stuff like that. I mean, like,
so we have, for like some context, at our shop, we have me playing Amulet like almost all the time now. Partially because I'm too lazy or uninspired to put something else together. Then John's still in love with the 4-color snow deck. We have people who play Bant Snow.
1 or 2, but not very common.
We have Burn players. We have Eldrazi Tron players.
A lot of Eldrazi Tron and Tron.
We have Ivan showing up with Golos Tron. We have someone who was playing Ninja Fairies.
Prison Slivers,
you have Prison Slivers. Like,
humans.
There's all kinds of malarkey.
Well, we had the Jund player. There's someone that plays. I've played 2 different people playing Mono Green Stompy the last 2 weeks.
And then someone's playing like 4-color Shadow.
2 people at least playing 4-color or 3-color Shadow. We got Sam on his mono white deck.
I think there's still some guy out there playing Mardu.
Yeah, there's a guy who plays Mardu. I mean, we've got we get almost close to like 40 people at some of these events, right? Like 30s to 40. And yeah, it's like wild west, man.
And there's like maybe 1, maybe 2 people playing Urza's in their deck.
Yeah, maybe 2 if you're lucky. Maybe 3 on a really lucky night. And then sometimes we have a bunch of people show up playing Amulet, like 3, maybe 4. Tron has been the most popular deck, I would say, lately. Tron / Eldrazi Tron, we've had 4 people playing one of those decks on a given night sometimes. Yeah, it's all over the place, and I don't know how many shops are like this, but I think a lot of them are. And so
it's like even Infect still.
Yeah. We've had 2 different people play Infect recently. Yeah, it's just it's hard to justify something like Mystical Dispute in a room like that, right? But when we look at the SCG results, where how many people was it were on these Titan and Urza decks, it was like 50%, right? Like, it was a lot.
It's not even good against the Titan deck except for Oko.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, it's bad mana leak.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing though, is it's like bad mana leak is still okay, and Oko is just so important. Yeah, our top 8 from this last week was Twiddlestorm, 4-color Urza, Eldrazi Tron, 4-color Shadow, Iceberg, Titan Shift, Eldrazi Tron, and Mill. And then the week before that, we had Burn, Blue-White Stoneblade, Golos Tron, Saheeli Nexus, Mono-White Martyr, Grixis Control, Eldrazi Tron, and Tron. Like what was before that? Tron, Bant Snowco, Goblins, Countercat, Titan Breach, Iceberg, Jund, and Ad Nauseam. Like, this is like,
wow, Ad Nauseam.
Yeah, it was that was Jason, the guy that always plays used to always play Ad Nauseam. He plays Pioneer now mainly, I think, but the guy that was always playing PPTQs with ad nauseum and did well for a long time. Yeah, he broke out the deck, I guess. But yeah, it's like the meta is just all over the place. Everyone has multiple decks for the most part, and they bring whatever, fetches their fancy on a given night, except for me and you these days, it seems like. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how many. I mean, it depends what your meta is like, right? Like, there's local metas. There's Moto, which seems to be infested with burn all the time, just oodles of burn, because everyone's just trying to grind leagues and get a positive record and get grind value. Probably watching like TV while they do it or something. It's probably why they're so slow and make Kevin fucking rage. They're probably like grinding leagues while watching like Cartoon Network or something. I don't know.
And part of me still wants to play like a reclamation deck with Panglacial Worm.
Do it. The world is your oyster.
Yeah, just like my step, I'm just gonna play a worm.
I got them. I got the worms. You need worms? I got worms. I got worms. I got all the worms you need.
Because I think I only played that deck at FNM like once.
Yeah, I played it twice, and I think
it was such a bitch not going to time. Because I never played the deck before, and like one of the win cons is like getting yourself down so the only card in your deck is Blue Sun Zenith, and then you just Blue Sun your opponent a million, like over the course of 3 turns to kill them.
Yeah.
Which is just like really difficult to like get around to doing in Vapor.
Yeah, the deck has other win. Oko now is like more of a win con in that rec deck.
Yeah.
I did play against it a couple weeks back though. They got outground by, Iceberg, but yeah, oh my god, Cryptic Command and Mystic Sanctuary. Ugh. What a fucking nightmare to play against.
Oh yeah, Mystic Sanctuary.
It was like a lot of like, they're like, oh, Mystic Sanctuary, put my thing back on top. And I was like, I guess I Assassin's Trophy your Mystic Sanctuary. Like, shuffle the Cryptic back in and get rid of the land so they can't bounce it. It's like, ugh. This miserable, grindy gameplay. Just, using spells on lands, which feels terrible.
Yeah, they could just play Veil of Summer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Veil of Summer just, puts a stop to all that nonsense immediately if it shows up. But yeah. Anyways, anything else before we get into our Salt of the Week?
How bad must it feel? They're like, oh, Nexus Fate. You're like, aha! Oh. Force of Negation. Veil of Summer.
Get fucked. Get fucking fucked, kid. Yeah. Do not want. That sounds awful. Sounds truly, truly awful. Alright, anyways. Chris, what's your thought of the week? What are you super hyped for, card or deck right now? What's burning a hole in your deck box?
Well, I think I might just put together the ramp deck, just at least for a week.
Yes.
See how it goes. I mean, I have all these goddamn Okos, might as well use them, right?
Yeah.
And but I'm really just happy I get a chance to play with Crater of Behemoth.
Yeah, that card's sick.
I like me a big hoof.
Yeah, you haven't scratched that itch in a long time since Elvis has been bad. It's like Cube. Vintage Cube.
I played it in the Mono Green Devotion deck.
Oh. I forgot about that. Hoof, there it is.
Doing stupid shit like Burning Tree into Burning Tree, activate Nykthos, hoof them.
Rude. Very
Or the
rude.
classic Hornet Queen into Crater Hoof on the same turn.
Does it give haste to the other shit too? It doesn't, right?
No.
Yeah. Just makes a bunch of really busy bees.
Yeah, so the bees can't get in, but it does give the rest of your team +5/+5.
Yeah, the bees turn into an anthem. Oh.
I enjoy Crater of Behemoth.
Yeah, I fucking bet. Card is really sweet. We're gonna do it online, Chris. We're gonna do League. At least a League online with this deck.
I don't think this version's playing Crater.
Yeah, it is. The one you sent? Pretty sure.
Wargate one?
Oh, it's not. Nah. Well, we're gonna do that first because Wargate.
Yeah, Wargate's sweet. Just get this Teferi out of here. Screw Teferi.
Crater. Seems not good.
It's like the same card, right?
No, it doesn't. Not at all, Chris.
But yeah, I enjoy tutoring up a hoof and just
slapping people.
Just rumble on in there. I don't know. I just like attacking for big damage with like little idiots that shouldn't be as big as they are.
Yeah, they get fucking thick AF real
like
quick.
grazers and elves, it's like, oh, my heritage druid's an 8/8.
Tap this.
Yeah, we don't need mana. What about you, John? What are you hyped for?
So I've rediscovered Legacy after taking a nice long break. So I'm like really excited to cast Delver of Secrets again. I fucking love that card. It's so bad in Modern, but man, in Legacy it's so good. I just like tempo decks. I kind of gave up on them in Modern, but Legacy tempo it just feels so good. And I've got like everything in blue-red signed except for like Sprays and Borrowers and Dreadhorde Arcanist. So I've got like the rest of the deck signed. So I'll be 69 of 75 signed.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. Nice. So yeah, that's it. I'm super excited to play that, and I'll be reporting back on that. Hopefully, I'm gonna bring a whole mess of deck stuff. I've been like doing this thing where I stop bringing like other formats other than Modern because I just like want to like jam Snow any chance possible. I still love Snow, but I want to play some other shit too. So I'm putting my pre-Modern deck back together. Bringing a Legacy deck. I might even put together like Blue-Red Arclight for Pioneer. I don't know. So I'm gonna bring some other deck stuff and then get some games in another format. So I have more to talk about next episode, hopefully, about Legacy. Probably get slapped by some monstrosity Mike's playing. He'll probably bring like 4C Loam or something and just like fucking dumpster me.
Yeah, just casual turn 1 Chalice of the Void.
Yeah, every game. Like, cool. I'm coming back next week with main deck Shattering Spree.
Yeah, fucking like I see that guy like turn 1. He just has the turn 1 Mox Diamond like every game.
Yeah, he always has the diamond. Always has the diamond.
And he's like, oh, I'm gonna try playing some elves. Like this is way back in the day, right? Oh, I'm playing elves. Okay, cool. I'm going first, right? Oh yeah, you won the die roll. All right, cool. Land, Mox Diamond, Gaddock Teague. Like, oh, I was gonna Green Sun on my turn 1, but I guess not. I guess we'll just play an elf. Go. Say, okay. Buy you play lands. Oh, okay. Wasteland, Chalice on 1. Go ahead.
No fun allowed. Go home, stupid elves.
And then he's just like, LOL, Tabernacle. I'll pay for my Gaddock Teague.
Dude, that card is a rude fucking shit stomp for elves. Holy shit. Rude. Tabernacle? Whew. That card just slays elves. At least early. Later on, you can kind of like you can float long enough to get a hoof going.
It's like the only way to beat Tabernacles like with Guy's Cradle.
Yeah. You can kind of
like then they just wasteland your Guy's Cradle and you're like, fuck.
You kind of tread water until you can natural order into Crater Hoof and just like all your guys are like in a holding pattern and can like turn into damage with the Crater Hoof, but yeah.
Yeah, like with Heritage Druid, they can kind of pay for themselves if you have multiples of 3. Yeah. Otherwise, things get kind of weird.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry.
Because then you have to have like enough,
Titanic, like push them off.
You have like 6 elves to pay for themselves, and then you have to have 4 lands to have a natural order. But then all your elves are tapped, so you need some of the elves to be like, Korean Rangers, so they can untap, so they can attack.
Yeah, it's like Titanic, man. It's like it's like 6 elves up on a tree, and the 7th elf they just
or if there's some no sentinels you can untap them.
Just push them out of the tree. Sorry.
But the Nettle Settles don't untap, so like you need to play another elf so they get untapped so you can tap them to pay for themselves for the Tabernacle. It's a mess.
Yeah.
And he just plays a Gaddock and you just like fucking lose because you can't natural order.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
All right, well, I think that's a good place to end. Chris bitching about Mike twice in the same podcast. I'm sure he'll be excited when he hears this. Anyways, thank you for checking us out and sticking around to the very end. If you're wondering where you can find more of our content, you can head on over to mtgconflux.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter under the same name. You can also check out our video content right here. We're recording it right now. You can check it out on our YouTube page. You can support us and join the MTG Conflux community. Damn it, Chris. You can join the MTG Conflux community at patreon.com/MTGConflux or by buying MTG Conflux shirts and swag on redbubble.com. Check out the links on our Facebook and Twitter pages. If you have any comments or suggestions, please reach out to us. We'd love to read them. Again, we really do appreciate you sticking around, and we hope you'll join us in the next one. Later. Fuck. Some Reachy boys. My boys.